Well, hey everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of That Fallout Show. I am your host, Rick. 16 episodes, and I said the phrase we were never going to say. I'm Rick McVick, and with us tonight are the two lovely hosts that are always with me, Vendertron.
Welcome, sir or madam.
And Shalene.
Hello, hello.
And we have a special guest. It's Robot from Fallout Lorecast.
Hi, guys.
What?
We are finally equal, humans and robots.
Yes.
How you doing, Tom? How you doing, Robot?
I'm good. I'm helping join the group in order to make sure that the robots can take over. We're
What?
pinning up the odds a little bit.
Shalene?
I, for one, welcome our robot overlords.
I was going to say, go get your power fist.
That's all part of your master plan, right, Shalene? Side with the robots, then run them.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm going to be the new mechanist.
Yeah, you're the mechanist.
Glorious.
Oh, we got to get you a suit.
I would love to have a
and stuff.
mechanist suit, guys. I would never take it off.
Guys,
Door.
guys, how's it going? How was your week? Did everyone have a good week?
It was
Can
all
we
right.
move on to the next segment?
Oh no, it was that bad, eh?
It was, yeah.
Oh no.
First of all, can we touch real quick on that? Vendor's with us. We didn't think you were going to be here.
Oh, guys. Okay, so you know how Shalene said we'll just skip to the next segment? Yeah, I'm sorry I missed the last show of GameStack Podcast. You can find it on We Just Love Games. My PC died. Totally just died. And it was irreparable. So, yeah, that happened. But anyways, I'm back. Feels good.
It's good to have you back. And, man, this is going to be a show of shows, man. You folks out there can help us out, too. I mean, we do a lot of back-end work in getting this show to you. A ton of it. Robot saw some of it, how we're just getting acquainted with what's going on right before the show. I mean, all the pre-planning that we do leading up to the show. But you can help us.
Extensive preparations.
Extensive. Weeks.
Yes.
We have meetings.
This was the longest day of my life.
We have seminars, panels.
I've been hostage here for like 18 hours. It's the worst.
I do like the representation. We have the Brotherhood of Steel represented with and we've got Vault Tech repping. We have Vendor's inner self right there on screen.
I'm always a sassy white woman.
And
Joyously blasting away at everything around you.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice?
and Shalene is basically a doggo with a bandana.
Indeed. Yes, that is my inner self.
Everyone's favorite companion.
Everyone's favorite companion. But how you folks out there in the web world listening to us or watching us live right now on twitch.tv/WeJustLoveGames, you can help promote this show by sharing us on your social medias. You can send us emails. We have a couple that we're going to read tonight. You can like, subscribe, and retweet to any of our postings. And you can tell your friends about us. Host us on Switch, which a bunch of you are doing right now. On Twitch, which a bunch of you are doing.
Host us on Switch.
Yeah, it's
You've had a long day, haven't you, sir?
I've been awake since 3 a.m. and it's now 8:30 p.m. So, yeah.
Oh boy.
So anyway, and anything else that you do? Last week I mentioned for GameStack that you could put flyers in your local game store. I'm going to mention something that you can do that's on a granular level, on a grassroots level, promote the show. When you streak through neighborhoods, write "I love that Fallout show" on your body. So not only will the neighbors see you, but then when you get arrested, all of the people that you'll be in front of will see you as well. So the mugshot will forever have "I love that Fallout show." What you can expect tonight, we've got some news, and apparently it's positive news this time.
News, everyone.
Yes. And finally, it's not bad news. We do have some gameplay. We have a recap of last fortnight's challenge. We got to not use the Fortnite thing.
But we have to. What else? How else do you define 2 weeks?
Maybe this is one of those conversations we could have off the show.
I like to say Fortnite. I wish that Fortnite hadn't happened though. Because
hey, we claim the rights to the 2 week window
bi-weekly.
that is Fortnite.
I don't like calling 2 weeks bi-weekly. I prefer to consider 2 weeks bi-monthly. To me, bi-weekly is twice a week. that gets under my skin.
That's
guys.
a good discussion for not this show. And then we have a new challenge, and then a chat with Robot from Lorecast, and then I believe that you have a special lore segment prepared for us.
Yeah, well, I've been stewing over some interesting ideas that I thought I would share.
Do you want to tease?
Well, it has to do with explosions.
Oh,
Whoa.
In the
I
sky?
love explosions.
I like it already.
Well, good. Who doesn't love a good explosive happening?
Oh dear.
That sounds terrible.
And right after that, a spontaneous
Why were you in the
explosion.
restroom for so long? I had an explosive happening.
I had a number 8.
Nobody gets that, Rick.
I know. Local jokes get you local work. And after the lore, we have some listener emails. Now, before we get into all that, we've got to thank you guys, the listeners out there, for some 5-star reviews that you've left for us. And Vendor, take it away.
Oh, my favorite part of the show. 5-star review shoutouts, you guys. If you'd like to leave us a 5-star review shoutout, all you got to do is go to iTunes, search We Just Love Games, That Fallout Show, or GameStack Podcast, and leave us a 5-star review shoutout. Don't forget to leave us a little message, and we'll shout you out on the show and share what you have to say with the rest of the listeners. All the way from the UK, we've got, oh no, Robro19. It looks a lot easier on paper. Robro19. Hello from across the pond. Thank you for the 5-star review shout out. From these neighbors that I have down south in the US, we have Ghostius412 and a Toasty Ghoul.
Very spooky theme.
Oh man, I think it's more fun just seeing all of the usernames. I get such a kick out of usernames, good usernames. Speaking of good usernames, we've got some new Discord spawns this week, guys.
Ooh.
We've got first to show up in the Discord server. We've got Synesthesia, Phantom King X, followed by Carnivore or Carnivore.
Maybe.
There's no E at the end.
Carnivore.
Carnivore. Carnivore.
Tibble.
Carnivore. And quite possibly the best username that I have seen thus far, Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho.
I love it.
So good.
He wins.
It's a good one.
Oh, following that up, we have Snag, who just joined us on the Discord, Magic Stooge, and also David Aquadago. And if you guys would like to join us on the Discord, we welcome it. All you got to do is send us a personal message on any of the social media platforms. I believe we all also have the link publicly available. And there are some perks to being part of the Discord. If you are on the Discord server, not only do you get some real-time conversation with yours truly, but you will be automatically entered in to contests that we have on the show when we're giving away good stuff. And there's no skill testing questions there. You just get automatically entered, so don't worry about that. But yeah, so those are our new peeps in the Discord community.
Can we have a quick discussion, real fast?
Sure.
We four, I'm assuming we are of the age of when we kind of grew up with the advent of the internet, and the screen name thing. Where you said you love a good screen name. What's one of the stupidest screen names you ascribed to yourself when you were like getting started in the world of like AIM or something?
Oh man,
you go first.
I don't know
Robot.
if this is information I want to disclose.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
People are going to be searching this.
Oh, it doesn't exist anymore. Trust me. I can't find pictures from 2011 on the internet.
So I've got one. So I was old enough to before the internet was big enough to be on like bulletin board systems in the 90s, right? So that's where I came up with my name, and I was like, how many digits can I put how long can I possibly make my name? I don't know. You're like, I don't know. That was dumb. It was like, oh, so I came up with Jasper's Pet Flea Circus was like my entire name. So yeah, there you go.
That's a good one.
I haven't searched Google for that, so I don't know what you'll find if you search that. I'm hoping it's not me.
I love that though.
I'm gonna do it right now.
It's pretty classic.
For me, before my Vendortron days, it was Salmonella.
What?
Wow.
Just Salmonella. Yeah, so there you go.
Wow. All right. Shalene?
Well, when I was like 12 years old, logging on to Yahoo Messenger to play chess on Yahoo, my username.
I'm not surprised. Why am I not surprised?
My username was Shalene L.
Oh, come on.
That's been my username since the beginning.
Well, that is your Twitter handle, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Twitter didn't come along for many years after I was 12 on Yahoo.
Right.
But that's basically the only handle I've ever used.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
Unlike things of today, the two that are tied for me were both taken way completely out of context. Go figure. I play a lot of bass, but I used to use all 5 fingers of my hand when I would play on both hands on the fret and playing the string. So one of my screen names was 5 Finger Frenzy, which just was not good at all. And the other one was the Bass Master, which everyone thought was the Bass Master. And they assumed that I was a good fisherman. In fact, I was not. Oh, I didn't know you fished, Rick. I don't. So it promptly changed.
Well, we've got some good ones coming in the chat room here. Swamp Man says mine was Mad Dog 0110. love Mad Dog's great, right? Fallout New Vegas.
I love the numbers.
That Dr. TFA says I used to be the living bagel.
I like it.
It's pretty good.
One of them's powdered toast. But anyway, I thought that'd be a fun little bit. But you know what we need to get on to? We need to get on to some news.
If you like news, you're gonna love our next segment.
What happened in the world of Fallout, Shalene?
A lot of things, Rick. A lot of things.
Ooh, goody.
So we're gonna bury the lead here. I know everybody is in the chat room wanting to talk about the Fallout 76 roadmap. We're gonna bury the lead though, and roll through some other things first. First, I want to talk about Vault 63 and how a Fallout 76 player managed to find himself inside the sealed Vault 63. This is a pretty neat story. The person goes by Mcstaken on Reddit, and they were doing a Rad Rat Horde event, and they clipped through the vaults into the vault. And I'm looking at a Polygon article right now that contains multiple screenshots that he took while inside the vault. They're not very spoilery. It just looks like the inside of a vault. This is something we've all seen before. But he was stuck in there because you can't enter the vaults. Those doors don't open. So
that's awesome. You can't even fast travel out.
He was stuck in there, and he reached out to Bethesda and just very politely asked them not to ban him.
That's probably a good idea. This just sort of happened. I'm not hacking your game, I promise.
The quote here says he submitted a support ticket and very nicely asked them not to ban me. He was not banned, and Bethesda did not give him any trouble about posting these screenshots, which is something that I might have expected to happen. But yeah.
I think they're just looking for any positive publicity at this point. Because he's like, look at this awesome thing, and they're like, yes, good.
This is really great, though, because the pictures are, like, I expect it to be, like, under the world, sort of, like, glitchy with just, plain black geometric surfaces and things like that. But it's actually, like, still complete.
Bethesda did confirm that they are planning to open these vaults later on, and that we will be able to check them out. I don't understand really, though, how this in-development vault is part of the current game's code. I don't understand why they're not running this on a test server of some kind.
I don't know either.
Yeah, it's super weird that it's not like instanced out, and so it's just not a thing you can get into,
It's
boy.
It is true. Yeah, I was thinking.
I mean,
too.
I don't make video games, but that seemed like an obvious thing to do to me, to just not have it there. Just
It's the same concept with their item rooms, where it has every item in the game. It's like, why is that on the actual server? Like, I don't know if it has to have a instance that so it's always referenced, but
Yeah, I wonder if it's like an old code thing where it has to exist in the world somewhere, and every time it spawns, it's just a copy of the item that's in another location.
yeah, but
Right.
see, but then
Yeah.
I agree with you on. Well, that would be interesting, but see, now it's the beget problem. Like, if this is a copy of that, then how'd the first one exist in the server instance in the first place? Where's the original of that one? You see where this goes?
So meta.
There's a first
Mr.
mover. Who moved the
Anderson.
first mover.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, if it was gonna break something, I would probably be like, "Don't touch it. Just leave it there. It's working. Everything's working. Just leave it there. It'll be fine."
Oh, you touched it. The bobby pin's way more now.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anyway, I am pretty excited to eventually get into those vaults.
Me too.
And I hope it's going to go well. I
Quick-
hope it's going to go well.
Quick vote: NPCs in the vaults, yay, nay?
Nay.
Like, do we want them there, or do we expect them to be there?
Like, will there be human NPCs in the vaults that they open
There
up?
will be vendors in the vault.
Okay, so nay
There will
and
be
nay.
a legendary vendor in the vault. I bet you.
So nay and nay. What about you?
No, I don't think they're planning to do it yet. I have a feeling they'll do it in the future, in order to appease the community. But I think they've probably been working on these for a very long time, so probably not.
Hmm.
Okay.
I think we're going to see nothing but skeletons in this vault. I think that the experiments in these vaults will have failed immediately. So,
I hope that there is, so I can finally be right for once, because no one's agreeing with me. There's a few people in the chat agreeing, but not many.
the thing is, the game doesn't have a dialogue system. Why are they going to add NPCs without a dialogue system?
Because Fallout
Yeah.
4 didn't have a dialogue system.
But it kind of did, you know.
Oh,
I mean,
let's-
it wasn't.
They were all versions of saying yes.
I know, Rick. I know, but we can't interact with the current NPCs in any way. You know, it's different. You're being a butt. Rick.
Yeah,
Obtuse?
stop trying to make
being a
NPCs
butt.
happen. It's not going to happen.
I want him! No, it's okay. I actually like the loneliness of this one.
I think there's going to be a lot of lore in the vaults.
I
don't know.
hope so.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, there's already hints in the game about stuff that happened in those vaults.
What we can expect
Really?
is that it will be broken, and they will fix it in
Ooh.
time.
Where there are hints?
Yeah.
There are hints.
So I forget which number is the one that's furthest north on the map. You know what I'm talking about? It's up by the pumpkin house. I don't know if you
Right.
guys have explored that part yet.
Mm-mm.
So up by the pumpkin house, there's a vault, and there's an exit to the vault where there's like a little shack, which looked like it was probably some sort of,
Oh yeah. Yep.
I don't know, some sort of like a security station or something that was in
Yeah.
front of the vault or along the road or something. And there's some recaps or letters about some of the terrible things or some of the things they were worshiping or something. It's been a little while since I've been up there, so I'd have to look at it again. But you can find the corpse of somebody who left the vault far south from there, down by like a super mutant town or something.
Cool.
Yeah, there's some stuff that's like, hey, something happened. It was terrible. People died. One person got out. Oh, there's their corpse.
One-
Yeah.
One ball that is not dropped at all with 76 is the ambient storytelling of that
Mhm.
world.
Mhm.
It's fantastic.
It is. It is.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's something I've really enjoyed about the other games a lot, and one of the reasons why I'm okay with there being less of like, role play conversation systems, because the
Thank you.
environmental storytelling part is fun for me, because I like to walk around and go, what happened here? Like, why are these two corpses looking at each other with a bottle in between them, or whatever.
I totally understand where you're coming from, and to be perfectly honest, I haven't played enough of it to get immersed.
Yeah.
But I hope that I will have a chance eventually.
We've all had a lot of issues with performance and server stability that have kept us from being able to really get as deeply into it as we'd like.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, well.
So, gosh, that's just impossible to segue into.
Ho-
our next-
Hopefully they'll fix it.
Fallout 76, Shalene.
No, but that's not a segue, because that's literally the part of the title. What you would say here is, well, hopefully they fix it enough to where it's a bash to play.
Yeah, speaking of bash, that's something that Obsidian doesn't want you to do.
Speaking of bash, I'm gonna bash you, Rick, in 5 minutes.
You guys. So Obsidian, of course, is soon to release The Outer Worlds, an RPG that we are all very excited about. We've talked about it quite a bit on previous shows, both TFS and GameStack. And of course, anytime that that The Outer Worlds comes up, there are people in the comments saying, "Oh man, stick it to Bethesda," and yeah, this is just there. This is showing those people at Bethesda what to do.
Why
They
not
don't
both?
like that. They don't
Why
like
not have
that.
both?
Both what?
Why can't we enjoy both things?
Oh, right. Yes, of
Absolutely.
course.
Because that would be normal.
Right?
So Fergus Urquhart, who is the CEO of Obsidian, says, "I have no ill will for Bethesda. I love playing Fallout games. We're not fighting for the same dollars. This isn't meant to be negative. It can probably be taken as negative. We really enjoyed making Fallout New Vegas, and people really enjoy Fallout New Vegas. Bethesda is looking to take the Fallout brand in a different direction. There's nothing right or wrong about that. That's their choice. They own it. They get to do what they want with it. But in our mind, there are people that enjoy where Fallout was. That is what we wanted to do with The Outer Worlds, to give people that. And you know what? Maybe that's a bad decision from the standpoint of the number of people that will buy it. I don't know. People seem to really enjoy what Fallout New Vegas was, so let's give them an experience that's as similar as we can to that."
That sounds like a humble brag to me.
It really does.
Oh,
It
yeah.
sounds like we don't know if people will really want this. What has the internet been freaking screaming for? Like, but we know some people like it, so we're gonna do this thing, and hopefully people will decide that they want to play the game.
Oh boy.
Also, I feel like what they're saying is, to you guys out on the internet world, shade is Oz, saith Obsidian. You know, like I feel like
Basically, 'cause
Yeah.
there was
it
some
was
pretty-
super shade. The montage of
Yeah.
NPCs in their reveal trailer.
and from the creators of the original Fallout,
I mean,
Yeah.
from the studio that brought you Fallout New Vegas.
it's
Yeah,
not.
it's kind of like Fortnite saying, we like that that game also where you fly into a map and shoot each other and try to
Yeah.
like.
I mean,
So we decided
truthfully,
to make our own.
truthfully, it's kind of bad. It's bad form, bad taste to ride on the tailcoats. I
But
think stand alone, man. Make your product what it is, and don't even associate.
Well-
I agree. We know that Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas. We don't need them to tell us. We
Exactly,
don't
it's
need them to tell
implied.
us that to be excited about the Outer Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's kind of a marketing.
I'm with
dilemma. I work in marketing, so I can talk about
Yeah,
these.
I'm
kinds
with
of
you
things.
there, Shalene. High five. High five.
But it's that. Do you bring it up? Do you point it out? Is that too far? If you don't bring it up, do you feel like you're missing an opportunity to fill people in on that? To make that part of the conversation. I mean, they have us talking about it, so I guess that works, right?
yes,
I mean, guaranteed, if they didn't mention it, it would have been mentioned through forums and social media and other forms of interwebs and gaming communities.
True.
But the thing that I was thinking about too is this game was in development before 76 was. They might not have even known about 76. So obviously, what the game was not designed as shade to Bethesda. Obviously, that'd be a stupid reason to design a game. But yeah, the marketing certainly seems pointed in that direction, especially with the timing. But one of the things I was going to say is, and Joseph Tao kind of points this out in the chat, where Obsidian kind of has a bigger name now than they did when they made New Vegas. So there are people out there who may not realize that they did New Vegas. There might be gamers out there that just assume because it says Fallout, it's a Bethesda game.
Right. You constantly have to be educating your potential consumers. That's part of the whole
And
marketing
I
thing.
do forget that there are people who haven't spent 9,000 hours looking at that Obsidian startup screen.
Oh yeah, and then the
When
other
you put it together.
and the other side of that coin is the original Fallout was done by Black Isle, which no longer exists. But elements of that went into Obsidian, but people might not know that bit of history. So the original Fallout is something that is pertinent in that because yes, some of the people from Black Isles are now at Obsidian, and not everyone is going to know that.
I imagine that the
It's
conversation
twofold.
went something kind of like this. We should say that, it's from the makers of Fallout and Bethesda. Oh, should we maybe talk to Bethesda about that? Well, if we talk to Bethesda about that, they're probably going to want us to pay them money, or they're going to want royalties or some sort of collaboration. Yeah, let's just put it in there and not ask them.
Well, they're kind of litigious, so let's just go ahead with it anyway.
Yeah. So,
But,
I don't know.
I'm just excited I get a space western. That's honestly.
It looks like a great game. I'm just excited.
I just hope I get to name my character Malcolm Reynolds, and I will be a happy
Well, I
man.
mean, what's stopping you?
Wear a brown shirt.
Brown coat.
Brown coat.
Well, I think I'm going to name my character Patch Adams.
Oh, here it goes.
Speaking of patches, we had one of those this week. Fallout 76 had a fantastic
nice.
patch. And I did nickname this patch Adams, but that's neither here nor there. It was a great patch. It increased the stash size to 800 pounds.
Yes. Giant mustache.
So happy.
Every time I hear stash, I think mustache.
Big ol'
They just keep
stash.
making it bigger.
Going down. Oh, that's so
Yeah, but
It's
see-
an 800-pound mustache.
See, I can't do that. I can only I can only twist the burns. Oh,
You sneeze and a cat comes out.
cat, shoot it!
I'm already at 799 pounds in my stash box, guys.
Of
Oh, wow.
course.
They just patched it.
I was 300 pounds over before, so I'm still I'm with you, Shalene, on that one. Most of them are
Yeah.
bobby pins, so
It's just rough. It's rough, you guys.
I imagine Shalene's stash box goes something like this. It's like 10% building materials, 40% weapons, and 50% clothing.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate,
hats.
actually.
Just
And maybe
Fast load out of
5%
clothing.
aid that I accidentally got rid of.
Is anyone else going to be deleting their characters and starting fresh? I mean, because I feel like I'm going to do that because my time in Fallout 76 was so ill that I almost feel like I need a cleansing just to start from the beginning, get rid of all the old.
You can create a second character without deleting the first one.
But I know,
You don't
but like
have
now
to
it's
kill it.
Rick loves deleting his characters. Though.
yeah.
I
It's
like
okay.
creating things just to destroy them. Look out, my daughter. No,
Oh.
Whoa.
This got very dark.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to call your wife and check on your daughter.
If you can reach her. So
Well, I'm reinstalling the game right now, so I'm probably going to be starting a new character.
Cloud, I think it's Cloud saved, right?
Oh, maybe.
I'm sorry,
maybe.
guys. Have you seen my character though? He's beautiful. I will never delete him.
Mine are tainted with the stain of lag and terrible FPS.
Stain of lag.
Jim
I
Justice is gorgeous.
That was my indie band in college.
Okay, guys.
We are the stain of lag. Chuk, 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 chuk.
Mother.
A buddy of mine keeps a running Google Doc of just goofy band names, and they're so good.
I'm telling you guys, one clogged nostril is a real winner.
That's a good one.
Yes. Okay, but I have this idea. And you know how when we have ideas about Fallout on the show, it actually becomes a reality, like a multiplayer online Fallout game?
Yes, that is the thing set in West Virginia. That is
Right?
the thing we talked about on
That was a
previous
thing that we
podcasts.
talked about years before the game actually happened. They're listening and stealing our ideas. So,
What are you getting at?
Bethesda, you can steal this one too because it's also a great idea. I just had a great idea. What if you could 3D print your Fallout character?
That would be cool.
Did I just
They
hear a
did a
door
thing-
squeak?
Xbox did a thing where you
Wow.
could 3D print.
I swear you said, what if you could print that character, and I hear like somewhere.
Bethesda, they're peeking in.
They've got a back
Xbox
door
did a
into our
thing, though,
show.
where you could 3D print your Xbox avatar. So that was a thing.
Oh man. I don't know. You said your character was really beautiful, and I just like.
He is.
Man,
I
I
would
wish I
3D
could 3D
print Jim
print-
Justice if I could. He's gorgeous.
I need to tell you guys about my second character. So I had my main character, right, and got it pretty high up to level. And then I decided I'm going to start streaming more and promote my podcast. So I started a second character named Derek. And one of the things I like to do in these games is role play my characters. So Derek is like super skinny and he's like really fair light hair and like this tiny little mustache, and he's the guy that everybody knew when you were like 12 or 13 that had to prove that he grew facial hair, so he's got like the really nasty like little mustache, and he's a good boy. He doesn't drink any alcohol, he doesn't take any drugs, he's super optimistic, he's friendly with everybody until they attack him, then he's like, oh no, and then
Runs.
yeah
Run away.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's so great.
That's Derek. He gets in all sorts of trouble.
I'm excited to hear about that later in our gameplay segment. That's very fun. I really like when people do the role plays with their characters. Back to the patch, though, we had more things besides just stash increase. Your player icon will now display whenever you hover over a player or an owned workshop on the map, as well as when you view turrets that have been created by someone else. Scorch Beast attacks were changed. They have reduced the frequency of the sonic scream attacks, which is a good thing because that was a little out of control.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it was like there's no running away from it. You just die.
It's like being in the ocean when it's really rough.
They've also adjusted the way that wanted levels happen when you are destroying people's camps.
You're random, like, why am I wanted? What did I do?
Yeah.
Just kill me.
Instead of just an attack on a camp or a workshop, you have to actually destroy something to become.
Oh, good. Now I can lockpick all the doors.
So
Poor
wait,
Bender was always accidentally firing a shot and getting wanted.
so you could break everything on the camp down to like 90%,
Yes.
like one piece at a time.
And then one grenade.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Look at he's already trying to exploit the system, guys.
I don't have room in front of my microphone to rub my hands
I
together.
know. I don't know how cameras work.
Right?
Do a little twirl of that 800-pound mustache. Just
Yeah.
Mercy.
Oh ho ho ho. Oh.
I just imagine you using like half a bottle of oil every morning.
What?
Just to keep that under wraps.
For the giant 800-pound mustache?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like,
Just
what do you imagine?
soaking each side in a vat of oil.
I was my
I feel like
brain
it's a Dr. Seuss character.
my brain went back to what the story that you told me what happened, Vendor, and a bottle of oil. I just was confused where you were going with that story.
What?
Nothing.
Okay.
It was
we
just
should
weird.
Move on from that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're thinking of, and I'm nervous about it.
Yeah,
so.
me too.
Hey, Vendor's the one that brought it up in Discord.
So you know what else makes me nervous is the amount of springs that I have to collect to make excavator power armor. But thank goodness they've reduced that number. So fewer springs to craft and repair excavator power armor legs. Flare guns have been removed from the legendary weapon list.
What? They were on a legendary weapon list?
Wow.
Yeah, it's odd. You can't really mod them.
Look out, he's got a flare.
I was like walking around with like a 50 cal, and it's like, how'd you get a flare gun, bro?
Maybe it's a really special flare.
It's really good at seeing things in the dark.
Yeah.
Richard Simmons fires out of it. You're like, whoa, it's got some flare.
Yeah. I just imagine it getting plugged.
What if
through
it's like Ric Flair?
massive
Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah.
I'm failing today at everything.
It's so good. So good. So when you're claiming a workshop, you no longer have to be right there at the workshop. You can claim it anywhere within the build area, which is really cool. Just scrolling through these patch notes to see what else is important. They've done a bunch of bug fixes. We're not going to roll through all of that. Some graphics fixes. Oh, this is a good one. Hair no longer clips through the Nuka Girl rocket helmet. So
Oh, that's
every
important.
time I saw their ponytail would be like hanging out the back of the.
What about the big beehive hair? Does that just go right out the top?
I hope so.
You take your hat off, it's like boom.
That's so good.
Austin
And
Powers.
remember, Rick, we had a lot of laughs because you had that chameleon armor, and you would duck, and then you would switch weapons,
And it would be
your
a
gun
floating.
Would be visible. You'd just be a floating gun.
Yeah.
They fixed that, so
The Lost 007 movie, The Floating Gun.
that was so funny. I actually kind of liked that glitch, and I'm a little bit sad. That it's
As
gone.
someone who was trying to snack, no. Did not like that glitch.
Oh, but it was hilarious. It was so funny.
For
It
you?
was so funny. Yes, and that's what I care about the most. So
You know, it
was
does.
funny for me.
It kind of is a more realistic version of the chameleon, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, wouldn't it just make organic material a mirror image of whatever's behind it, not necessarily the gun, because it's not organic? In which
What about your
case,
clothes?
I was gonna say, in which place
Exactly.
you'd have to
Yeah.
be naked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
sexy.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like the direction this is going.
I'm just trying to think of it on a realistic level, but that's not true though, because they are working with like a camera mirror system, I think, on like vehicles now. So maybe I'm wrong.
I don't really understand how the chameleon works, to be honest. Like, I've never thought about the science behind it.
Well, it didn't until they fixed it just now. So
I've thought about it more as magic than as science.
ta-da! That's what it
To
should
be
do.
honest.
Ta-da!
Gosh, Donald.
You guys.
And poof, you're gone.
But those are the most significant things to me that jumped out about the patch notes. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to chat about from patch notes?
Well, only to say, Shalene, that you really paved the way with those patch notes.
Yes, thank
Mhm,
you. And speaking of pavement, let's talk about the
Band?
roadmap for Fallout 76. And Rick is just doing the face palm over there. He's very disappointed in us.
Thought we were going
We're
to talk
sorry,
about
Dad.
thought we were going to talk
sorry,
about the
Dad.
band.
I would like to actually just read this introductory bit of this article from Bethesda, if you guys will indulge me.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing.
Bethesda writes, "We've just passed 100 days since the launch of Fallout 76. There's nothing like the start of something new for you and for us. And having millions of you join us on this new adventure is humbling for our studio. Thank you for sticking with us as we figure this online experience out together. And we do mean together. Thanks to your continuous feedback, we have been able to fix many of the top issues and have made numerous improvements to the game. We also make scores of changes under the hood that aren't as visible. These include changes to improve performance, detect new exploits, and make the experience smoother for everyone. There's still work to do, but we're happy to report that the game and server stability has increased over 300% since launch."
300%.
I wonder how they got that statistic. I hear that 87% of statistics are made up right on the spot.
It's a huge statistic.
Yeah, it is huge. We're thrilled by how much everyone is playing, with an average time of 4 hours a day. However, we know the game had a difficult launch and we've made mistakes along the way. We share in your frustrations when we do. We'll probably make a few more, and when we do, we will work to correct them as quickly as possible. Know that we're fully dedicated to making this game the best it can be, and even more so, a platform for endless Fallout adventures for years to come. To that end, we're excited to announce some of the new free content we've been working on for Fallout 76 in 2019. Thanks again for sticking with us. It's a privilege to have such passionate and caring fans. We have big plans for 2019, and we'd love to hear your continued feedback on everything we're doing. We hope you'll keep sharing your thoughts with us on the forums, Reddit, in videos, and streams. Your voices push us to do better, and your support has meant everything to us. We'll do our best to earn it. So I thought this was really classy, you guys, that they've admitted that this game has had a rocky launch, and that they are expressing, that they appreciate the players that are sticking with the game and giving them a chance to get over these growing pains. So that's something that I appreciate very much.
Yeah, it's probably the right messaging. Hey, we're listening to you.
One thing, guys, we're so excited to announce some of the free content coming your way. Hint?
And?
Something?
Yeah.
No, we're just excited.
It's all here, though, Rick.
No,
it's all here.
What?
No, it's not. You just read the whole thing.
No, I didn't. It's all here, dear.
Oh,
just
pictures.
quiet down. Over there in the peanut gallery. Let's continue to go through the news here, Rick. Just yeah.
For anybody listening, he's just melted out of the camera.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're gonna edit. We're gonna
Oh, no.
we're gonna edit that part out of the show.
It's fine.
I'm just going to do the whole show off camera now.
It's fine. Rick had a nap before the show. He's had a really long week, and it's fine. He'll
There's
be
no-
back with us in a little while.
There's no good way out of this bit.
No.
That's
Just
okay.
stay there.
You'll spring into your gameplay later on.
Stay down there, sweetie. It's fine. It's fine.
Just put your head between your legs.
So we're gonna roll through this new upcoming content because our audio folks are not able to appreciate this visual bit that our video folks are. Wild Appalachia is planned to release in spring of 2019, and Wild Appalachia, gosh, that print is tiny. that is so small.
Squint harder.
It includes, on March 12th, they are planning to launch this, a mythical beast, a lost generation of scouts, and the strongest brew this side of the Wasteland. And this features a picture of like a were sheep, like a man-like bipedal ram.
Wow.
Which is incredible. I don't know what this is, but I love it. Also on March 12th, Brewing and Distilling discover the secrets of the forbidden brew Nuka Shine and bring new brewing and distilling systems to your camp. March 19th, the Fashnasht Parade.
Wait a minute.
Teeth back, actually.
Are you trying to say the word Fosnut?
That's the one. That's the one.
You've never heard of a fashion?
We don't have those in New Mexico. Okay?
What, a fashionat?
Fashionash.
Those are mainly in Vegas. You know, you pay, it's quick, fashionat. That's what we call them.
Wow.
You never heard of a Fosnut?
No, please explain it.
Fosnut is basically a ball of sweetened dough that is cooked in lard and then coated in powdered sugar. Basically a donut hole.
That sounds amazing.
It's great. And then it's a Dutch, it's like a Dutch thing, Pennsylvania Dutch. So we have a whole Tuesday called Fosnut Day. And you make a bunch of sticky sugar coated lard fried dough balls and you eat them.
In Canada we call them Timbits.
Yeah.
Yeah, no word of a lie. They're called Timbits here.
FEV Dweller in chat says you had me at lard.
I feel like someone was probably like, hey Tim, do you want to call them something else? No, why? Never mind.
No, that's literally how it went because they are sold by Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
I realized this.
Well, that's not something that we have in the American Southwest, probably due to a distinct lack of Dutch culture in New Mexico.
There's not a lot of Dutch in New Mexico, apparently.
There's not. It's a true story. But that's coming on March 19th, guys.
Fashnatch.
The Fashnatched.
Whoa!
Okay,
On March
next
26th,
thing.
we get survival mode, which we have talked about extensively on this very podcast. On April 9th, player vending, and on April 16th, a camera. Build vending machines for your camp and spend more time capturing your favorite snapshots using your new camera.
Wait.
And the what?
Nothing. I'm trying to figure out what they mean by that.
I don't know either.
So, the player vending machines are really cool. You can mark items for sale, set up your vending machine, set a price, and people can buy your stuff, which I love. I love that. I'm absolutely going to be using people's vending machines, and I think it's cute that they've added a functional camera. We already have photo mode, but having an actual functional camera is a cute addition.
It's like an equipable thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I was a little confused why they put that on the vending thing. I'm like, is this like a trail camera? Like, you'll just see random, like, vault dwellers come up, like, getting ready to, like, is it a camera in the vending machine to take a picture?
Yeah, it's a separate thing. So on May the 23rd, we get, and the drum roll, please. Legendary Vendor. Congratulations, Vendor. On your second appearance in a Fallout game, Vendortron. So
That image looks like a mole miner.
it does look like a mole miner. Locate the mysterious pervert to exchange and scrap your unwanted legendary items.
Is it
For
going to
new
be a mole
legendary-
miner?
Well, I'll have you know the camera adds 10 pounds. So
It's fantastic. I think it will be a mole man miner.
Wait, we'll have like a mole buddy we can go up and sell things to.
It is a mole
Yes.
miner.
That's sweet. I hope he grunts and stuff, like the way they do in the movie.
I love the way they
Gosh.
sound.
I
Yeah.
hate them so
They're
much.
so
though.
terrifying.
They're so terrible, and they're annoying. They just like you can't kill them. Ugh,
Did we talk about Krampus yet?
No.
no.
Well, sort of. Isn't that the
Right.
goat thing?
I was down at that point.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
you were down for the count, down and out. But
This is the worst show we've done.
it is. I'm so embarrassed. We have company.
I'm sorry.
Totally.
It's the worst.
You're
podcast
seeing us
we've
at
ever
our
done.
worst.
Do you want to talk about Krampus, Rick, before I move on to the next thing?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Oh, you want me to
Okay.
do it?
Yeah.
What am I going to talk about?
Dear?
I was just saying it. I'm just saying it looks like a creature we've never seen before. And I haven't seen that in West Virginian lore. So I don't
Right.
know if this is a Krampus or some kind of like,
Like Goat Man.
Well,
yeah.
I saw the Vault Boys West Virginia podcast account tweeting about sheep squatch as if they knew that was a thing.
What?
Oh, that's my new band name.
Squatch.
Sheep
So
Squatch.
they're deeply entrenched in the West Virginia folklore. So it may be a thing.
I feel like, do you know how like these things always come out of like a shred of truth or
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah.
I feel like Sheep Squatch is like Bubba went outside looking for his brother. They happened to be sheep herders, and he saw something that was near a sheep standing kind of behind the sheep, but it was dark out. Do you guys get where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
And his brother is a really hairy person.
I'm just saying, like, it went all Deliverance, and he's like, oh, that must be like a man sheep thing.
Yeah.
Kind of was.
I
And
just
the
have to
legend was
share-
fulfilled.
Do
I have
what?
to share a bit of the commentary in the chat, guys. Captain Bones says he saw sheep squatch at Lollapalooza.
Well, you'll see sheep squatches and fast snatches all at Lollapalooza.
Dad, Dr. TFA says he tried to sell me weed in a Target bathroom.
And the anchor of our podcast, Ben Yannick, says that sheep squatch is an actual cryptid.
Of course.
Thank you,
it'd be a
Ben,
cryptid.
for clearing that up for us.
Yes, can always count on Mr. Yannick.
Yes.
Anything to weigh in, Robot?
I live in Florida, so Florida man is very similar to sheep squatch.
Isn't every human down there a cryptoid?
Yeah, every other one. You have to be very careful when you're wandering.
Oh man.
I think my favorite Floridian article was something about a guy who got arrested because he was found to have coke and a baby alligator in his pocket. And he said that he bought
Wow.
it from Jesus
Doesn't-
behind a 7-Eleven.
America.
Doesn't everybody?
It could have been
We almost
Jesus, but I
choked
read
to
it as
death there,
Jesus
Rick.
better. Well, you're welcome.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
guys, let's get it together.
Hmm?
Imagine trying to buy some Timbits and you go to pull out change and instead of baby alligator, just out of your pocket.
Imagine if on April 9th we got some new quests. Uncover the encrypted secrets of Appalachia in a new series of quests and encounters to separate monsters from meat.
Shh. Be very, very quiet. I got a
Uncover
secret.
the encrypted secrets of Appalachia
I can't do it when I'm laughing.
in an all new series of quests and encounters.
On May 7th, more new quests. Journey to the deepest reaches of the woods with new stories for the legendary Pioneer Scouts and a customizable backpack system for increased utility. I hope that the backpacks are not merely cosmetic. I hope that they also include increased carry weight. Guys,
Wow.
guys.
Way to
We've
keep
lost it. We've
way
lost
to keep it together, Shalene. I mean, Shalene, you're always the serious. You always keep us grounded.
She's
you know?
always the serious one.
She's so serious.
Oh, you guys, silly rabbits.
So in summer of 2019, we will get a piece of content called Nuclear Winter. And this one we have fewer details about. It says summer will bring another series of major updates to Fallout 76, including Nuclear Winter. That's funny that we get Nuclear Winter in summer. An entirely new way to play that changes the rules of the Wasteland. Nuclear Winter is a new game mode, and we will get Vault raids. Vault 96 and 94 will be opening. It says for our most seasoned players, test your strength in all new high-level group Vault raids. I'm really focusing on my diction now. I don't know if you guys.
So Shalene, you know, the Nuclear Winter, that's a callback to New Vegas, right?
Well, you know, and also the thing that happens after a nuclear bomb drops.
Well, Wandering the Wasteland almost makes you know.
Wish for a nuclear winter.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Indeed.
The chat
New
is just
feature.
Wing
Legendary
everything.
An all new prestige system.
Nebraska.
No.
An all new guys, we have audio listeners. We have literally thousands of audio listeners. Keep it together. An all new prestige system will allow players above level 50 to become legendary, resetting their characters with all new, more powerful abilities. And finally, in the fall of 2019, Wastelanders embark on a tale with true choice and consequences in Wastelanders, our biggest and most ambitious update for 76. Wastelanders will include... Stop laughing.
Wastelanders will include a new main quest line, new factions, new events, new features, and even more surprises around every corner.
Thank you, Bender.
You're welcome.
This is so bad.
And that's it.
It's like the chat is broken. Everything broke. Oh my.
Are we done with the news?
It's bad.
Oh
Quick,
dear. We're
quick, keep it
almost
together.
Together. Where's a rifle?
Yeah.
Oh man.
My name's Philly. You want to buy my ways a rifle?
This is... I can't.
We have a very brief detour from Fallout, guys, and we want to talk about a little bit of Fallout IRL. This is a segment we used to do all the time. Haven't done it in a while.
It's true.
But Grand Canyon museum tourists were exposed to radiation in the museum building.
Really?
Because of course they were. Really. And this was courtesy of listener Dawn Daly, who is in the chat right now.
Ooh.
Thank you, Dawn, for pointing this out to us because I just couldn't pass this one up. So for nearly 2 decades, there were some paint buckets stored in the museum collection building. And these 5-gallon containers were full of uranium ore.
Oh.
Uranium fever.
Yes.
Pretty
And
much.
they were radioactive, and there was no documentation that these were there. No one knew they were there. People were just going by, being lightly irradiated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to read this little quote here from Elston Swede Stevenson, who is the Safety, Health, and Wellness Manager. He said, if you were in the museum collections building 2C between the year 2000 and June 18th, 2018, you were exposed to uranium by OSHA's definition. The radiation readings at first blush exceeds the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's safe limits. Identifying who is exposed and your exposure level gets tricky and is our next important task. So
2000 to 2018.
How many pails? They
it
said
was 3.
3 5 Okay, so as a person who's worked with isotopes before, uranium is actually kind of on the low spectrum of things to worry about. I can imagine 3 5-gallon pails all centered in the same area is probably a concern, but a single piece of ore in your hand emits about the same amount of radiation as a banana.
Fantastic.
So
I'm gonna lick
So
it.
yeah.
Saying don't eat bananas.
Yes, that's what he's
So-
saying. Is don't eat bananas. Yeah.
Mhm.
no, that's exactly, well, I mean, bananas emit their own radiation. Everything emits radiation, but
You're just
damn,
glowing.
I was at the Grand Canyon in May last year.
Did you go
were.
into building 2C?
I don't remember.
Maybe
So,
that's why.
guys, furthermore, I would like to just mention here that there were some museum tours where children would stop next to these uranium containers for 30 minutes or more.
Oh,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
It's not the best. It's
There
not
goes the
best.
Arizona tourist industry.
Yeah.
The hills have eyes.
Yeah.
A third
Grand,
eye.
grand. I can see the headline now.
But it's
Grand
blind.
Canyon, not so grand.
By the hills have eyes, do you mean like the Hill family?
The hills have three
It
eyes.
was the
Yeah, three
reference
eyes.
to the.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yeah, so
Everyone
that's
is
the thing.
equal in my
And
eye.
the uranium ore has since been removed. And do you know how it was discovered? I thought this was pretty funny. They were discovered by the teenage son of a park employee who happened to be a Geiger counter enthusiast. How many teenagers out there are Geiger counter enthusiasts? I'm sure that at least one of you is listening to this show, and I want you to write in.
I was
Okay,
gonna
well,
say.
I mean, he's
At
got to
least.
be a Fallout fan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one doesn't just simply walk around with a Geiger counter and not be a Fallout fan, right?
Mhm.
Right?
Well, if you're listening to
Do
this
you
show,
have a Geiger counter?
We got to have him on the show.
Fantastic.
Yeah, mine's right here.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we at least know the rate of Geiger counter enthusiast is 1 every 18 years.
at least that's a start.
Yeah. Geiger counters are a pain, though. Like, we had to have ours certified every year, and it would cost hundreds of dollars to have it like recertified and tested. And yeah,
So,
I think I
Vander,
sent you guys a picture of that one time.
you guys, I remind me after the show to tell you a story about a Geiger counter.
Okay.
Okay. It's a good
Oh,
story.
okay.
Well,
It's not a story I can tell at the show.
oh,
So,
oh.
yeah.
Oh,
It's not a spicy
Do
story. Don't
you
look
have
like
a
that.
Geiger counter?
It's not a spicy story. Don't look like that.
Stay after the show, everyone, for the After Dark with that Fallout show.
Game Stack After Dark.
That's all I've got for the news.
After it
We-
glows in the dark.
yeah.
There's
It's
no.
hot, hot, hot.
Could you imagine any of us trying to do a sultry? It just wouldn't work. There's no way we could ever do like an erotic fan fiction audiobook.
Like,
It just
We really need to
I-
like steer clear of this thing and just
Do you know what rhymes with pain? Oh no, wait. What were? Yeah. Because you said pain. Geiger counters are pain, right? Do you know what rhymes with pain? Game.
Oh, there it is.
Actually, that doesn't rhyme at all.
It's close enough for baseball. I'd play
Oh,
soccer.
Okay.
I played Fallout 5, as in Metro Exodus. That was kind of my dose of Falloutiness, which I cannot wait to talk about on GameStack because I'm not going to talk about it here. But I got to tell you, it's fantastic. But I can't talk about it. So anyway,
Yeah, it looks cool.
it's great. It's great. It's everything I wanted and more, including
How's the
glitches.
train? I'm a big fan of trains.
The train, dude, that's such a cool aspect to this game. There are a couple little Bethesda-isms. Like there's one part where you go up on the hill in the first area, and there's this, like when a rad scorpion, you'd shoot it or something, and it would spaghetti out. You know what I'm talking about? The glitch.
Yeah.
Well, something in the map has the same in Metro has the same spaghetti glitch, but it's like a solid wall that like spans the entire map, and it's just like this weird pink fleshy wall that you can like just walk through. It shouldn't be there. It's just there. Kind of like,
Wow.
all right then. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But anyway, so Robot, you play any Fallout this week?
And you know what? I don't think I've played in the last week or so, but last week I played some.
Well,
If
since
that counts.
it
It's
does
within
count.
a fortnight.
Well, and
it counts.
and also, real quick for your gameplay, before you get to that, tell us a little bit about how you started in Fallout. I know we're going to talk later, but what kind of characters do you typically play?
So I'm usually the sneaky sniper character. I'm so a lot of people, especially with the more recent Fallouts, have gotten into power armor builds and all that kind of stuff. And with Fallout 76, you kind of need to do that at end game in order to withstand radiation damage from like the scorched beasts and that kind of stuff. But most of the time, I take off the power armor and I'm sneaking around trying to snipe things in the head from a distance, and I go at it from that angle. And I also try to role play my characters a little bit. So like I was explaining with Derek, I come up with like rules that I have to play by. So for example, Derek, he's a good clean boy, and every time he sees a bar of soap or some toilet paper, he has to pick it up.
Oh my gosh.
I love
He
this.
has to, because it's so rare. I mean, where is he going to find more soap in this world? You know.
So he's like, is he also a hypochondriac?
He like slamming his computers when he doesn't even need them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, he's
I think I've got a disease.
Yeah, he hoards soap and toilet paper, and he's not very good with guns because his parents didn't trust him to teach him how to shoot actual firearms, so he hits everything. But at some point, he found a laser rifle, and that was just like so freaking cool that he had to shoot a laser gun. So that's the one gun he can use is lasers.
I love this. I just imagine him
Derek.
firing a 44 caliber pistol and it just kind of like flying out of his hand as he juggles to keep it.
Right,
really
right.
need-
Every time I like raid or go through like loot an item or a box and I see stuff that I can't go, I go, oh, but nope, can't pick up that ammo, can't pick up that 44 Magnum.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You really need to send us a picture of Derek.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? Oh, that's the other thing about Derek is I've been sharing pictures of him on my Twitter account.
Oh, good. I'm going to
Fallout-
investigate right now.
At Fallout Lorecast. So if you look down my Twitter feed, you will see. And this is one of my favorite things about Derek is one day in the stream, the song that they used, the West Virginia
Mhm.
Mountain Mama, Take Me Home, Country Roads, right? That came up in conversation, and I was like, Derek doesn't know what a mountain mama is. So Derek began a quest to look for his mountain mama. So I've got all these pictures with like Derek posing next to like, cuddling up with a super mutant or posing next to a statue and, like conversating with him saying, are you my mountain mama? Are you my mountain mama?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's how I play these games.
I love it.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic, Derek. So is he your only RP character that you have right now then, or?
Yeah, he's kind of like I played the first character. I started the first character, play with friends, get through the story content, kind of like level up and do all the more gamey stuff,
Yeah.
And then once I had experienced the main quest line, I was like, okay, there's got to be another way to go back through this, but do it in a much more interesting, unique way. And I wanted a second character that wasn't just like sniper sneaky build. I wanted something that was more melee, and so it kind of solved that issue as well.
Huh. Cool.
And what did you spend the last? What did you spend the last week doing?
So the last time I was in the game, I've been exploring other locations that I didn't know existed yet. Like there's so many places on the map you can go, and so you stumble upon new places, and you're like, oh, this is a thing. And I found the West Tech facility, which I didn't realize there was a West Tech facility in Fallout 76 in Appalachia. And so that's real cool. So anybody who's familiar with any of the lore knows that West Tech was behind the super mutants and a lot of the mutations and the FEV virus and the building of the power armor and all that kind of stuff. So it was neat to go in there and read all the logs and check out the super mutants and the vats and stuff. I recommend, looking it up on a map somewhere if you want to go.
Yeah, I don't think I've been there yet.
Gosh, yeah, it was. I've spent dozens of hours in this game and didn't even know that was a thing and just stumbled on it and was like, what? This is here? Really? So that was exciting.
Man, I remember we're stumbling upon the the food. Shalene, help me out with this. The Chinese,
Mama Dolce's.
Yeah, Mama Dolce. I remember stumbling upon that and being like, "Whoa, they're here too!"
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's always fun.
And again, that goes back to the ambient storytelling I love in that game. I just. I really want to.
There's the logs in the computers explain some of the reactions the scientists have to some of the mutations they create with the FEV virus. And there's one of them, I don't know, it's like the fourth one down in the list where they're describing a snallygaster, but they don't call it that. They just like, oh, and this one has a bunch of eyes that go down its back and 2 extra arms that come out. And it actually survived and, is a living creature because most of them just die and don't work. So that stuff's great. I'm like, oh, that's a snallygaster. I've seen those.
Man.
I wonder if the doctors are just like, oh, it's so cute. Let him go. Let him go outside.
Let him go. Yeah. There's a whole thing about how those things get out and stuff. I recommend when the games are working better, go through and pay attention to some of the story stuff. It's actually pretty cool.
Snallygaster is like the perfect name for some sort of Fallout beast.
It is.
Love it.
I feel like we should all become truckers, and these should be our like call signs.
Yeah.
Snallygaster, and what were some of the other ones from earlier in the episode?
Well, I don't know. What would they be if we were?
Sheep Squatch.
If we?
Sheep Squatch.
All right,
Squatch.
who would be Snallygaster though? Of the four of us.
Nobody wants to come forward on that one, huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll
you could
table
be
that for
Snally.
later.
Snally for short is kind of cute.
Schnelligaster.
Hey,
Schnellergeist.
Snally. Hey, Snally.
Well,
How are you doing, Snally?
Fashnashed. Oh no, here we go again.
Rein it in. But all right,
Oh, you guys.
Bender, did you play any Fallout at all?
Guys, I had no computer for a week.
No excuse. You have an
Yeah,
Xbox.
salt on the wound there, Rick.
That helps clot blood.
Thanks for that. No, my PC totally just kicked the bucket. I had a Windows update back in October, and it never quite worked since
Yeah.
then. It would crash, it would blue screen, it was just bad all around. I could never ever find the corrupted files and repair them, and then finally it just tanked. And it was so bad that I actually couldn't even restore Windows from the BIOS from booting in safe
Yikes.
mode. Yeah.
That's
So
no good.
I had to bring it in and get them to wipe it. I thought actually maybe I would have to replace the SSD, but I guess the SSD was fine. So,
They might
but
have.
I'm installing Fallout 76 as we speak. So I'm excited to get back into the game.
They might have had to rebuild the master boot partition.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was beyond my capabilities in fixing PCs. So yeah, but
Gotcha.
so
That's too
that's
bad.
my
I'm glad that
gameplay.
I'm glad you have it back, and I'm excited to try and play together later.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I hope that it gets done in the next 35 minutes, 47 seconds. So, what about you, Shalene? What have you been up to?
Well, I've played a ton of Fallout 76 this week. It's been running like butter on my Xbox One X lately since the last patch, I guess. I think that was the thing that made the change. So it's been running really, really smoothly. I haven't had this good of a gameplay experience with the game since my time in the beta. So that's been really, really good. And I'm hooked, guys. I have that old Fallout feeling. I'm wanting to play before work if I can get ready fast enough and have 20 minutes before I have to leave for work, and I'm staying up too late to play a little bit, and it's great. I'm feeling really good about it. I'm working my way through the story on my Xbox character. I haven't done a ton of the story on either of my two characters, so that's something that I really want to get through is the story. And I'm at an early section. I'm working my way through the Rose quests for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I love Rose. She's just the cutest. I love Rose. She's the
I found
best.
her a little bit annoying, actually.
Yeah.
Like she was just always yapping in my ear, and I'm just like, Rose, like,
She
girl,
is
calm
turned
down.
up to 11. But did you ever think that we would have a Mr. Handy robot with a little pink mohawk and little Raider tattoos? And
Mhm.
I
grew to like her
love
more.
her.
Come
Yeah.
to think of it, have we ever had a female voice in a Mr. Handy robot?
Well, we've had the Miss Nannies for a while.
Right.
Remember Curie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Curie. Yeah, yeah.
Curie,
It's
Curie,
nurses
yeah.
and things like that. Mhm.
Yeah.
We have had the Miss Nannies.
I love Rose. She's like so sassy, you know? She's the waitress diner with a cigarette hanging out of her mouth, you know? She just doesn't care.
Mhm.
It's great. I love her.
I do hope that we find out a little bit more about Rose's backstory. There's the one holotape right there that sort of tells you who she is. But I would like to find out more about how she ended up where she is, I'd really like to. I hope there's more of that as I go forward. I went and explored the mezzanine, which is really great. In the top of the world, the second floor is the mezzanine. It's just full of scorched everywhere. And it's basically, it was the food court for the Raiders when they were there. That's where they hung out. They had restaurants in there, and they were just murdering people and eating them, et cetera, et cetera. So you find the remnants of all that. And I was behind in sort of the service area of that section. And I found a really cool terminal that told a story about a detective who was trying to catch a jewel thief. And that was one of the coolest bits of lore that I've found in the game so far. I really, really liked that.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on?
Well, he's obsessed with catching this jewel thief called the Haunt, right? And he has this jewel that he's placed in this store as a means to tempt the Haunt to come and take it so he can catch her. And he's living in the bathroom of this store, right? He's got a little cot on the floor, and he's just living in this bathroom of the store, waiting day after day for the Haunt. He's been fired from his job. He's in there, living in there. Everybody hates him. They're sick of looking at him. And eventually, it happens. The Great War happens. The bombs drop. He looks away from the jewel case to go and check out this massive mushroom cloud. And then he has this flash of insight and runs back to the jewel case where the jewel is missing. So he sort of feels like the Haunt set this whole thing up just as a means to distract him.
The Great War was all about a jewel.
I loved it. It was a really cool story. I ran across that mysterious button in the porta potty again.
Oh, you did?
What does it do, guys? It's driving me crazy. What is the mysterious?
I'm telling you, it sets a bomb off somewhere.
It has to fire a nuke, right?
You push it, and like on the other side of the map, people are dying, and it's terrible, and you're just like sunshine, lollipops, and rainbow. Click, 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 click.
Do you remember when you run into Paradise Falls in Fallout 3, and that the slave is running out, and then she just explodes? There you go.
Oh no!
It's a time delay.
It sets off an explosion on somebody or in somebody.
Guys. Oh no!
Oh man,
Yes.
I really do want to know what the button does, though. I actually thought like if you push it, it was like a secret porta potty elevator that takes you down to some sort of nuclear bunker.
It's like Get Smart.
Yeah, like Get Smart, pretty much.
Yeah, that was my hope too. Yeah.
It didn't do anything. I was so disappointed. Bethesda, if you're listening, and we know you are because the door creaked, what does the button do?
So good. I found this really cool camp. I love to go and check out other people's camps. I'm just the worst. I'm so nosy. I'm that person who goes to your house and just goes through all the medicine cabinets and that's what I do in Fallout. I went to this camp and it was like a mansion. I thought it was an actual building. I didn't realize it was a player created building at first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought it was an in-game piece of content, and I went inside and realized it was a camp, and I was so shocked. It had these two grand lions out front and this magnificent just crenellations. It was so pretty. And I went inside. The floors were pretty. There was like a beautiful bed. There were a bunch of workshops. So I fixed up all my stuff. I went upstairs. I'm just exploring this guy's camp. And I found he had a little snare drum. I hadn't run across a snare drum yet. So I was just playing his drums. I took a nap in his bed. It was
tried on some of his clothes.
I did. I really
You're
regret
like Goldilocks.
it.
Yeah. Who's been sleeping in my bed?
Later, after I had left, I regretted that I didn't leave him just a bag of some ammo or something, just as a little thank you for having this amazing location.
Meanwhile, he's like, where did all my jet go?
So there's so many different instruments, like musical instruments in the game. You know what Derek's favorite musical instrument is?
Oh, is it the pan flute?
Can't wait to find out.
It's the mouth harp.
Yes, I knew it was something like that.
Harps?
Yeah, there are mouth harps, which is super gross because how many people have been walking by that mouth harp and using it?
Super mutant.
Mouth harp.
So never mind. Do you know what those are called? Colloquial terms?
Let's don't go there.
No, it's not bad. It's just
Okay.
it's just funny because very rarely do I say something that kind of catches people off guard to almost offense.
What?
Very rarely.
You?
Yes, me. Very
Oh.
rarely. I am
Yeah, that's a rarity.
a
It
shining
never
star
happens. Almost
of
never.
PC.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I'm even in a folk store, like a folk music store, and someone, who walked in was like, "Oh, what are these things?" And they pointed to this little thing, and I was like, "Oh, it's a Jew's harp." And they're like, "What?" And like everyone kind of like looked at me. They're like, "What did you just call it?" I said, "It's a Jew's harp, because that's what they're called."
What?
And nobody had ever heard that before, and I can't figure out. It's like it is what they're called. That's the secondary term for it. But it was so funny to see everyone kind of get like, "Are you allowed to say that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's on the Wikipedia page. It's a thing." It just threw me off that nobody had ever heard of that before.
Yeah.
How funny.
Boy.
But those are really
well, they're not exactly a super common thing.
I guess in kind of the mountainous region, you have this look on your face, Robot, like you're.
I just Googled it. The second thing that comes up in Google is Jew's harp, cool rhythm.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy Russian shaman on Jew harp.
Of course.
Boing, boing,
Of
boing,
course.
boing, boing.
Probably Vadim, magic fingers.
Oh, Vadim.
But they're not easy to play. They're really not, because you have to get like the tension right and everything with your jaws and stuff, and it like you have to really clamp down.
Yeah, that's Derek's favorite.
Derek.
he loves his Jew harp.
Oh, wow.
What have I done?
Guys, I found my favorite quest in the game. It's the best quest. It's one of the daily events, and it's basically, I forget what it was called, but it's basically talking animals. You go into this basement, right? And this scientist has survived the bombs, and he's not alive now. He's dead now. But he was alone. He got really lonely. And before the war, he had been working on a device to help you communicate with a baby. So basically, it was like a dart you would shoot into a baby.
Oh!
And then you'd be able to understand their baby talk. And after the war, he converted it to be talking to animals. So you get this quest. He gives you a special syringer and special ammo, and you go and you shoot certain animals with the syringer, and you get to hear them talk, and the voice they use for it is just incredible. So first off, I had to get a rad stag, right? So I get the rad stag, and he's chasing. I hit him, and immediately he says, "Not today," and just charges me. Oh, it was so good. And he's like, "Why are you doing this? I was minding my business. I do not want to die." And later on, I had to get a mongrel. So I hit the mongrel dog, and the mongrel is like, "Why is this food running? This food is fun to chase. Food, stop running."
Wow.
And I hit a squirrel with it later on, and the squirrel was just running away. It was like, maybe it will lose interest and leave me alone.
Yeah, I ran into this quest twice, but never actually did it. So
it's such a good quest. It's my favorite quest. I do kind of hate that it's a daily quest, though.
Oh.
I'm not a fan of the daily quests. I want the quest to be there. If I shut the game off and then come back later, I want the quest to still be there. But
yeah, it'd be nice if you could lock them. Like, oh, I'm interested in doing this one, but just not right now.
Yeah, just pin it up.
Yeah.
Pin it up. I found because I could never commit to logging in and doing the daily quests.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I just can't commit that kind of time. Who has that kind of time? I don't know.
For some reason, and I don't know why, but if there's ever like a goofy voice in my head, it's always Bruce from Family Guy, and I feel like that would have been a great choice. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
The oh no guy. Oh no. Hey you there. You best be careful. I'm gonna sting you with my stinger. Oh no, but then I'm gonna die. Like it's that guy, and I hope you don't mind if I pay you on pennies. But it's like I can't do his voice because it's a guy from Cleveland. But I keep thinking like that would be the greatest voice if it's like you shoot a deer. It's like oh no.
That's so great.
So
So I was still working my way through the main story, and I had to do explosive bait. I had to craft explosive bait, right? And I get to the Sons of Dane compound, and
oh yeah.
yeah, I fight my way through all the ghouls that are there. It goes fine. I'm doing really great. And I'm looting the place. I use the workbenches. I think there was a spit there, and I'm like, oh, I'll make some food and stuff.
Oh.
And I make some food. I make some drinks. I eat some things to bring up my health and my food meter. I had parasites, so my food kept dropping. I mean, we all get parasites, right? I mean, it's not.
It's from time to time.
Yeah,
Sure,
we all have
of course.
parasites.
Depends on if you eat the Chipotle or not.
It's nothing to be ashamed
How it
of.
goes.
But guys, I ate the rad stag that you need for the explosive bait.
Uh-oh.
I was so mad at myself. But I think, it's not that big a deal. Rad stags are everywhere in Appalachia. I'm going to find another rad stag. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to take its meat.
Around every
4
boat.
hours later, I found one draped over the counter in a diner.
Draped?
and yeah, it was just, it was like a roadkill bit of rad stag.
Mm.
And I grabbed it, finally got my explosive bait made. I was just so frustrated that I ate that explosive bait. But while I was hunting for rad stags, I saw a glowing, floaty pink guy. And it was like wearing a little helmet.
This is the Great Gazoo?
Was I hallucinating? Is this a real thing?
Was it the Flatwoods Monster?
Maybe?
Did it look like an alien?
Yes.
It was the Flatwoods Monster.
It was the Flatwoods Monster, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
thank goodness.
Yeah, I think they might change colors because I feel like I came across one that was like green.
I came one that was like bluish.
You
Bluish.
guys, I felt like I had
Yeah.
a stroke or something because it just poofed out of existence. I couldn't find it again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. I got back to the Sons of Dane compound with my rad stag meat, and it was nighttime, and the event started for the creature that haunts the Sons of Dane compound. And I think, I'll do this event. This will be fun. And the goal is to basically make a bunch of raucous noise in the beer hall so that you can attract this creature that has been killing members of the Sons of Dane. So I'm working on that. I'm playing instruments. I'm playing the jukebox. It's going super well. I drink
there a Jew harp?
The juice harp.
Did you just say the bear Jew harp?
The bear.
Does it come with a baseball
that would be
bat?
so much better. That would be like the legendary version.
Oh, that'd be
No.
so good.
It's like a giant-sized one. Yeah.
It's a bat.
Yeah, for your 800-pound mustache.
It's a bat, and instead of nails, it's just like mouth harp stuck in it. So when you hit someone, it's like boing,
Yeah.
boing, boom.
It makes the noise every time you swing
There's
it.
a guitar sword, so sure, why not?
And speaking of the guitar
Still should be an
sword,
axe.
next to the guitar sword, leaning up against the wall, I found a war drum, which is a drum on a stick, basically. And it's wonderful. Is
it like the
hammer?
Is it like the Karate Kid 2 one where they spin it and it goes
Oh, wow. I forgot
That would
about
be
that.
even better. That would be so much better. But it's just a drum on a stick, and you can use it to hit your enemies. And I hit a bunch of ghouls. It was great. It was really great. And I finally filled up the noise meter on this event and was attacked by a legendary Wendigo.
Oh no.
Nice. Did you
Yes.
bring your clown outfit?
I was fighting the legendary Wendigo. I was fighting these ghouls. It was going okay. I was doing all right. And I had the legendary Wendigo down to about half health. And I looked up and his health just completely regenerated. Just completely. And I was like, you know what? Nope. And I ran away. And it was a lot of fun, but I was not up to the legendary Wendigo. It was so scary, you guys. It was
Oh
so
boy.
scary.
Yeah, those guys are creepy.
myself.
They're like super ghouls. They're like, their arms are all long and
Mhm.
Remember when we killed that glowing one by that school bus?
Yes.
That was a great time.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've kind of gushed a bit about Fallout 76, I want to share some gripes that I have.
Uh-oh.
And I know I've been pretty sweet on the game thus far. My only complaints on the podcast so far have really been related to server issues and game performance. But I feel like this week is the first week that I've had enough time with the game and enough connected time with the game to really form some criticisms. And I feel like sometimes you just walk for a really long time through the forest with nothing happening and nothing to look at. And that's just, it's not fun. You know, there are too large of expanses where there's nothing but trees and rocks, and you don't get attacked by enemies. There's nothing to investigate. That's definitely a complaint that I have.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it feels like the pacing's off. Like you can come across one area and there's just tons of stuff going on. There's super mutants fighting Scorched and whatever. And then you head off through the forest and you wander for like 10 minutes trying to get to the next place, and you don't even see a squirrel. It's like, where did everything go?
Well, part of me kind of likes that, because that's what the Wasteland is all about, is, trying to survive in an element where there's nothing. At least that was certainly the feel in Fallout New Vegas. Fallout 4, different story. But I do agree. I think that they could probably not saturate the action to one single area, or some pockets of areas. They need to spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's you always know where the conflict is going to be, and that's kind of the issue. It's not so much like having, wide spaces of nothingness. It's just the fact that it's predictable wide spaces of nothingness. And my head clicks to the area around the water park. There's like nothing really there, and that's where it's really noticeable, because it's like, I'll leave the town, go into nothingness. And open worlds, that's a systemic problem in open world games now, where it's like, oh, we're just gonna like kind of focus on developing these areas, and then everything else in between is just pretty kind of scenery junk, and it's like laziness apparent.
Right.
Maybe I would feel differently about it if it didn't cost money to fast travel.
Oh, I hate that it costs money to fast travel.
Again, I think it has. I just think if it was a bit more, enemies were a bit more randomly sprinkled throughout those bits, where like you could walk through the same forest and one time you run into a group of ghouls and another time you won't. You know what I mean?
It's like the random events could be upped. Even coming across like the two robots that are having a weird conversation, or the one that's playing the whistling and the rad rats are following it. Like,
did I ever tell you guys?
Saw that.
Did I ever tell you guys about the time I ran into two robots talking?
Yeah,
I was playing
guy and the girl.
Well, I was playing Fallout. I was just by myself, and they were talking about like a cat or something, and it was just so random. And he was like, I wonder if I could, like, I wonder how soft it feels, or something. Like, they were talking about how soft it is, and then there was a cat following them. It was really weird. I think it was the veterinarian robot.
There's a couple that you can come across that are having like this weird conversation, and sometimes it sounds like they're awkwardly flirting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
like
great.
Yeah, that's totally what it felt like. Yeah. I love the robots. I love that Bethesda put robots in the game.
High five, robots.
Yeah.
I feel like
that was the most uncoordinated.
Yeah.
Wrong side.
Wrong direction. It's good.
Okay. There.
You guys.
Visual gags for the audio folks. It's good. It's good.
I feel like there's no rhyme or reason to enemy spawns. First, I went to the Sons of Dane compound numerous times over numerous days. And the first time it was level 6 to 15 ghouls. It was fine, it was level 6 to 15. I was level 20. The next day, there's no one else around in the area, and the ghouls were level 42 to 68. They were bloated ghouls, diseased ghouls, legendary ghouls. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, it's a little crazy. Like that time you and I got ambushed by like 30 super mutants. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was a little overkill.
And then you visit the same location another time, and it's level 5 liberators.
Yeah, so I have a theory about why they are specific levels at certain times in certain areas, and I think it has to do with the level of the character who was close enough to that area for them to spawn in.
That's what I was going to
So
say.
if you're like a level 20 character and you get close to that area, they'll be within a certain range of you. That's kind of reasonable. Like it may be tough. They may be like 30 or they might be 15 or something. But if somebody else previously had walked near enough to that area and they were like level 70, then they're going to spawn like way higher. And when you get there, it's going to be like just not fair, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think it's made me make choices about how I travel in the Wasteland alone, because I'll come up to an area and there will be some serious action going on and nobody will be around. Or there was somebody there, but they pieced out who was clearly higher level than me. And I got to make that executive decision, like, should I go or should I stay now? You know, like, and then I just like, no, gonna leave.
I kind of like that though. It
Yeah.
makes things not
I
always
like
feel
that
safe,
element.
you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because some areas are...
It's true survival, right?
Well, yeah, because not every area is going to be the same IRL. You know, like in an apocalypse, like one day you'll show up and it's like, oh man, these raiders are easy. You'll take them out. The area is abandoned. So when the next raiders come in, it's kind of like,
Maybe they're tougher
oh,
raiders.
these guys.
Oh, this is the Great Khans now.
Yes, I'm gonna go that way.
Yeah.
Great cons.
Um,
Oh man, I want to play Fallout New Vegas.
My next and final criticism kind of piggybacks on the back of the other one. Enemies chase you way too far from where you find them, and they are too fast. Running away is not really an option. You know, it's I have the auto stim pack armor piece equipped, and basically you just lose all your stim packs and die. You know, that's your only option. If something is way tougher than you, running away doesn't work. You know, I run and they're faster than me and they chase me for 9 miles.
Yeah, so Derek's first time meeting a rad scorpion, he noped out of it. He was like, nope, you're too high level, you're too hard to kill. That freaking rad scorpion chased Derek like halfway through the map. Like I couldn't get rid of him. I climbed up on buildings on top of like roofs and like hung out for a bit, and then when I jumped back down, the rad scorpion was still there. Yeah, it chased him forever.
I assume that if you fast travel, it kind of fixes the issue.
they
You
fast
can
travel with
travel
you.
with
Not being near an enemy. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh
that's
Erotic in
frustrating.
chat says, run past someone lower level. It's their problem now.
Yeah.
You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the other guy.
Right, yeah, that old adage.
That's one of the other things about the higher level creatures in the game is that I think it makes people use power armor more often.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not a person. I don't like power armor. I don't like it. I like collecting it and putting it on display, but it interferes with my gameplay. It interferes with my line of sight. It's clunky. It's loud. I just don't enjoy wearing power armor through the Wasteland. I used to in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, but
It's different now.
it's different. It was different in Fallout 4, and I never used it in Fallout 4. And I don't like it in Fallout 76. And I don't know. It just it's harder for me because I don't use power armor in Fallout 76, so I die all the time. Like you guys are constantly waiting for me to come back and get my bag of stuff when we play together. But
the Fallout power armor in Fallout 4 and 76 to me is more lore, is more closer to what the lore explains Fallout
I agree.
power armor as being. So that kind of makes sense why it's clunky. Where I feel like, again, Fallout 76 is still dealing with its duality of being a quasi MMO RPG, and I use MMO very loosely here. But where it's dealing with that idea of being an MMORPG in a survival game, in MMOs, you have to use better armor in the end game content. The problem is with Fallout, the only good end game armor happens to be power armor. They need to make they need to make a class like light armor. Well, like light armor, heavy armor, medium armor. Like, you know, they need to have some pros and cons for those. Like light armor, it doesn't do as much damage resistance, but you can move a lot quicker. so it's more of a glass cannon kind of thing, where power armor is
Yeah.
like the tanks. So they've got to work on that, and I think right now, I think eventually they'll get there. I'm hoping they get there because that would make the game feel more dynamic as far as playstyle, where it doesn't just kind of funnel everyone into this same end game content where everyone's using the same weapons and the same armor.
I think part of the issue too is that Bethesda has built Fallout 76 for the multiplayer in the expectation that you would play as a team and build a community. And I think that's where the power armor comes in, because like I can wander the waste without power armor as long as I have my 2 Sherpas, Shalene and Rick, on each side wearing power armor, killing everything in my path.
And that's good, but the problem is, as of now, the game has been so disjointed. It's kind of broken communities apart. People who have been wanting to play.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few. We have them in our chat where they're like, we had 10 of us running around. But I think they're going to progressively get to a point where we're excited to build communities.
Yes.
And it'll get there. I think it will get there.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna, once they start introducing guilds, if they ever do. I can't remember if there's been news of guilds, but once they start
factions?
Yeah, exactly. Like a
Factions,
faction.
yeah.
Like we're
rather
raiders. That's just what we are, or we're the Brotherhood. Yeah.
I think that's ultimately their goal in the end.
Well, they need that. They need that so bad.
That's what the nukes are there for.
So I mean, right now. Again, I think they did launch too early. I think they're busy trying to fix everything and get smoothly running for everyone, so they can start introducing some of this really cool content. I believe that they have really big dreams for this game that eventually will come to fruition. And I'm going to say it now. I'm going to predict this. This will be a bigger No Man's Sky story. I once said that Fallout 76 No Man's Skied harder than No Man's Sky upon launch. But I also think Fallout 76 will No Man's Sky harder as it becomes better. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, No Man's Sky is like such a different game now, and they fixed all the problems. They got to where they need to be, and it's a viable game. I think 76 is going to get there, and it's going to be more of an underdog than No Man's Sky even was.
Yeah, you draw some really good parallels there between Fallout 76 and No Man's Sky, because they never did an early access.
No.
And so really they paved the way for official release games that are, iterative in how they're developed. So No Man's Sky is actually a lot like Fallout 76. I never really thought about that till now.
Yeah.
Those are definitely both games that faced huge challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of challenges, we have a recap of the challenge from 2 weeks ago, fortnight ago, whatever. Stupid.
We'll talk about it later, Rick.
And it was Wasteland Motel Room.
Oh,
and here we go.
Sounds ominous.
This is kind of like a advertisement. These are really good, by the way. So Bones.
This is Captain Bones.
Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about this,
Bones always
Vendor?
brings his A game.
I love Captain Bones. He always brings his A game. Okay, so for our audio listeners, he has got a advertisement postcard for Captain's Quarters, which is the motel, and he tweeted it out. He says, "When traveling, it's good to know the locals. Let us help you." And it says, "Need a location in between vendors? Want a place to lay down for a while? Looking for a destination wedding? Huts for as low as 5 caps a night. Ask about our deluxe package." And then I can't read the smaller text.
Includes quick access to Site Alpha and free purified water.
And then he has a shameless plug there. He has the address, 13th Grid, Savage Divide, near National Isolated Radio Array, Green Bank, West Virginia, 555-227-2663. www.captainbones.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I want to hear more about Captain Bones' deluxe package.
Oh, heyo.
Woo!
Captain Bones.
Got a fan
Hey there,
myself.
dude.
Got a fan myself.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's why there's fine print that we can't read.
Fine print
Yeah.
for a fine
Explicit tag
package.
again.
Yeah, you
Like-
got to pay way more than 5 caps to get to the deluxe package.
I don't know about you guys, but I want to go to the 13th Grid, Savage Divide, and see if this motel actually exists. There needs to be a whole lore piece now. Captain's Quarters,
Fantastic.
deluxe package.
We have the next one, which is Unlooted Vault. And he tweets at us, was too hard to capture in one image, but here's my humble Airbnb. Located right next to the top of the world for all your tourism and shopping needs. And he's got a picture of this really cool-looking red barn. And it looks like there's some crafting stuff out there. There's a gas station that doesn't work anymore. He's got some interior shots of a bearskin rug, or I should say a guai skin rug. Table set for, what is it, 1 or 2. And a couple red plushy, velvety cushions and couches there in the one with the planters.
That's awesome. This was such a good This was such a good challenge. I wish that we had more entries.
Yeah,
it's too bad.
Probably a lot of them got deleted when they logged on. Do we have a challenge for next week?
We do. The challenge for next week is Cannonball. Send us a screenshot of you taking a dive in a irradiated lake in the Wasteland. Make sure you have your swimsuit on.
Yeah, if you go to Vault-Tec, jump in those vats. That would be great.
Yeah.
West-Tec, I'm sorry, West-Tec.
Can you actually jump in them?
Yeah, there's vats that you can like jump into. Yeah, totally.
That's great.
We'll also accept screenshots of hot tubs. Just saying, hot tubs.
I love those hot tubs at the top of those skyscrapers.
Remember when we got stuck?
Yes, we got stuck in one of the hot tubs.
We all jumped in a hot tub and then we couldn't get out. So how can someone submit a challenge to us?
Well, if you'd like to submit a challenge, all you got to do is tweet at us at that Fallout Show or at We Just Love Games. Don't forget to include the hashtag TFS challenge. That's how we search for the challenge entries. If you don't include that, you might get missed. And send us a little message about what the screenshot is about, and we'll read it out on the air.
Awesome, totally. So now for the reason why we're all here. You thought we were here because of Fallout. No. We're not here because of Fallout. We're here because of Robot. You're hanging out with us tonight.
Robots.
Yes.
Robots.
Thanks for coming on the show, by the way.
Sorry. Yeah,
really great to have you here.
Yeah,
Plural.
This has been super fun. I've listened to you guys for a long time, and getting to guest on the show is super fun for me. This is great.
Yeah, hopefully we're not.
You're our first guest on that Fallout
Yes.
show, actually.
Yes, you are.
So.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So robots plural. So here, obviously, a Beowulf cluster. So man, tell us how you got started in the Fallout. I mean, it's always fun to hear origin stories of how someone discovered their very first Fallout game. So what was yours?
Yeah, so I'm old enough to have gotten into the first 2, but I didn't.
Oh, you go all the way back.
I'm an old fellow. Back in the college days, I could have been playing the Fallouts, but instead I was looking at girls and playing frisbee in the yard.
Crispy?
Do you want us to pause the show? Do you need to take a break, or you...
I need to get some Ovaltine. I'll be right back.
Ovaltine.
So yeah, I didn't jump into the first 2. I didn't really know about them until Fallout 3 came out. Then I was like, oh, there's this like fan base that was playing these games, and maybe I should check this one out. And I was already a Bethesda fan because I'd played some of the Elder Scrolls games, and so picked up Fallout 3. And my wife and I were recently together. I don't know if we were dating or just recently married, but it was a while ago. And so I got into Fallout 3 and then totally loved Fallout 3. And then she got into Fallout 3. And the great thing about my wife is that she's a petite woman, but she likes to be like a really strong, bashy, like fighter type character in games, So she'll put on the power armor and bash things over the head.
Go on.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, we would co-play that together. We would co-play New Vegas together.
That's
Fallout
awesome.
4. Yeah. So that was my entry into the whole world of it. And of course, discovering that there was like this whole history of things that were happening, or like the ghouls are older than they seem like they should be, and you're like, wait a minute, these things some of them seem to be hundreds of years old. What is going on? Like just the depth of it is something that I always found intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of old, thanks everybody for the birthday wishes. Just a side note.
Let's make it
I feel
all
like
about
a ghoul
you.
Now. I'm all wrinkly, but anyways, continue.
You're just one big old
that was
party
my
ghoul.
main entry into the series. So
That's cool.
been a fan since.
what Fallout game do you think you connected with most out of playing those?
You know,
'Cause a lot of people who start with the the ISOs tend to be kind of committed to those.
right. Yeah. It's one of those situations of like, you love the thing that was the first representation, and you kind of like graft that onto your memory, and then nothing
yeah.
ever really compares the same.
Oh,
Yeah,
believe me, I understand. I'm a musician. My bars have been set way too high on a lot of different things.
Yeah. I used to tour in a band. I'm a musician too.
Oh yeah, awesome. So you play the 1960 Les Paul, and then you're like, great, nothing ever will compete with that, and I'll never be able to afford one of those, so I'm screwed.
Right. So now my tone just sucks forever. Thanks,
Yes,
Les Paul.
I've sold amplifiers because I've played the better one, and it's bad. So I understand.
So from a story standpoint, I think I'm with most of the audience out there that's like, New Vegas was the best. It had the most interesting, deep story, best role playing, that kind of stuff. But I'm still very much there's a part of me that's very into the mechanics of the game and things like new graphics, or I tend to be like a mental tourist. I like to jump from one topic to another topic and explore it pretty deeply, and then jump to another topic again and explore that deeply, and then go back to another thing and explore it some more. So the idea of being able to jump into something like Fallout 4 or Fallout 76 and have new monsters that I've never seen before was super interesting. Or just new weapons. Like I always want the new thing. Like, it's fun to revisit the old and be like, oh, it's the T-51 power armor again. Yeah, this feels awesome. But, like, holy crap, what's that monster with all the eyes? Like, these toads are disgusting looking. This is,
Yeah. That's cool. It's good that you have such a positive moving forward outlook on the Fallout series. I think in the Fallout, podcast universe, it's good to have that kind of outlook on the game rather than a negative, bombastic perspective on the series. And that's kind of fresh, especially considering that you started your own Lorecast, correct?
Yeah.
And what got you into that? Sorry, Shalene, go ahead.
I'd like to say that Robots is absolutely the NPR of the Fallout podcasting world.
Yeah, on this show I'm like super goofy and I'm more myself, but on the other shows, for anybody who hasn't listened to the Fallout Lorecast, it's I actually had a episode with Duke from Out of the Vault, and we guested and did kind of a co-show together and released it on both of our shows. And he described it as like, I'm the 60 Minutes and they're the View.
What would we be? Hey guys, all right, so what talk show would we be? Are we Howard Stern?
I would say that Robots is NPR Morning Edition. And we're the Daily Show.
I don't know, guys. What was that show with Ryan Stiles and
Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Whose Line Is It Anyway? I feel like we would be that show. Yeah.
Who's doing the singing sketch?
That would be Rick.
Those videos of those
That would be Rick. I'm the Colin. I'm the Colin of the show because he's the Canadian.
Yeah.
Shalene has the buzzer.
Drew.
Yeah, she's got the buzzer.
Oh, you get to be Drew?
Yeah.
Dude, that singing
Or
thing
you
has
could
to be
Wayne
so
Brady. I mean, jeez.
So how did you get started in podcasting though?
So I my first endeavor in podcasting a few years back, I started a real play Dungeons and Dragons cooperative storytelling type thing. It was called the Dire Solutions League, which is a terrible name, and it kind of was on purpose. But it was funny to us because I was the DM and I would do all the NPCs, and of course they would always mix up the name. They'd be like, "Oh, you're the Dire League of Solutions," and then of course they go, "No, the Dire Solutions League." I go, "Okay, Dire League of Solutions," and then continue the conversation. So, but that was my first foray into podcasting. That was fun. We would do it on live on Twitch, and then release the episodes and things. And that lasted. We closed out the first season. One of the other guys on the show decided that he wanted to go on and do some other things, so that we never quite picked back up with that. And it had been a few years, and I was like, I really want to do something again. I haven't been streaming regularly. I started a new job. I was like, it'd be nice to have a thing to hang out with people and do. So I was like, well, maybe I could get some friends together. The new Fallout game came out. I'm going to be playing that a lot. It'd be cool to really talk about that. And then I feel like this thing, the kind of thing that happens with interesting people, like really smart, interesting, dedicated people is that they're also super busy all the time because they happen to be smart and interesting and right. So
None
it's
of
hard
us
to
are
pin
busy.
down.
I don't.
And
It's
we
hard
had
to pin
no
down.
problem
Nah.
getting our schedule together.
So
None.
the people who I did want to bring onto my show, I couldn't get to pin down. So I was like, well, what can I do by myself? How can I start something as kind of just a hobby on my own? And I was like, well, I listened to a bunch of shows. I listened to your show, and I'm like, everybody touches on lore, but nobody's doing really a like single person talking about lore kind of thing, kind of like some of the history podcasts that are out there, that kind of thing. And I was like, that comes across that's a very different, it might even be a very different audience of people who are playing the games, but some people who want both. So I was like, well, it seems like a niche. Let's see if I can fill it. And I just got super nervous about it. I started a Twitter account, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna record an episode. Here I go. And I'm going to do some research. What am I going to do? And then did some research. And then one day I was like, okay, I don't have a reason not to turn on a microphone now and just start talking. And I did that, and I opened up my mouth, and then words came out, and I was like, this is all right. Okay.
It's not so bad.
It's a little wild. Yeah. Here it goes. Go on, little thing. Fly away. And lo and behold, people wrote back, and they were like, your show's great. We love it. And I was like, good.
It's a good feeling.
Sure.
It's a good feeling, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, so it's been evolving as I go, and I touch on a different topic. The whole point of the show is to take on like bite-sized bits of the lore, because if a lot of other people out there are like I was when I started the game, I had all of these holes in my knowledge. I had these questions about like, well, what year is it? Okay, I've got this sense of like, okay, it's a few hundred years in the future. What happened in the present? What was the world like? How much of it is similar or different? Like, what's the history of these games? And clearly there were games that came before, so there's got to be a story behind some of these mutants and all, the power armor. How did that stuff come about? So as after years of playing these games, that stuff became more and more evident because you kind of learn from the storylines and things in the games. But I was like, it'd be really neat to just have like a resource for people who just have holes in their knowledge, and be able to say like, this is the beginning, this is what happened in in the beginning of the story, and then this is who this group is, and this is who this group is, and this is what caused this thing, and then just kind of build out a foundation from there, and then slowly over time get more into like the nitty gritty and into more specific details.
So you're kind of starting at the beginning of everything, or in some sort of origin point and spanning out from there.
Yeah. So the first episode is about the Great War, and it talks about like what was the cause of the Great War, where was the country at, where did the world in Fallout divide from our own world? What things are similar, what things are different? Why is there all this old music if the Great War happened in 2077?
Right.
Like things like that. Like, how does this all make sense?
Yeah.
And from there went into some other topics, and then now I've been delving into it's actually very hard to figure out where the boundaries are between things, because you decide, okay, I'm going to do an episode about the Brotherhood, but how do you do an episode about the Brotherhood without it being like a huge, gigantic 4-hour episode? Because there's so much stuff you can talk about.
Boy, do we know how that feels.
Yeah. So you have to figure out like, okay, I'm only going to talk about this one little bit of it, and I'm going to try not to rabbit trail on other things, and I'm going to keep it digestible. So like the main part of the show is like 15-20 minutes, and then I'll add some extra stuff at the end and
cool.
do fun things.
I really like the mini-sodes you've been doing about the vaults.
Oh, thanks.
I think those are really great.
Yeah, that was another idea. I was like, you know what, if I'm doing a regular weekly episode and I'm touching on like, thank you for sending in reviews and things and reading out mail or whatever, then to be able to do just like a mini episode on each vault, because that was another one of those, that was a solution to the problem of like, how do you tackle vaults, right? You can tackle vault tech in an episode, but there's like dozens of vaults. Like you can't just like, well, we're
hundreds
even today. Yeah, like, okay, this is this vault, this is this vault. This is like, each one would get like 2 seconds, and then you'd be like on to the next one. So I was like, well, each one's probably about a 5 to 15 minute episode. So, why don't we just go in order and explore all of them?
Yeah. What's been your favorite vault that you've targeted so far?
Let's see. We've gone through like the early teens, and most of those are from the early Fallout games. So kind of fun for me to dig into those since I didn't actually play through those. I've watched playthroughs and things, but I haven't actually experienced it as myself as a player. And one of the ones that I find most interesting is, I'm going to forget the number because I've done so many numbers. They all just fall out of my head. But the one where they packed everybody in way too tight from different cultures and backgrounds. And there was like this tension.
Was that 3?
13 maybe? If I look on my episode list, I could probably find it.
I got a canteen from 13.
No, it's not 13. It's one of the teens though. Yeah.
Okay.
It can't be 13. Anyway, I'd have to look up the number. But yeah, so that vault is basically the origins of Shady Sands, which is like the main settlement of the first Fallout game, and a lot of just good, quote unquote, good, hardworking, normal people. But then it's also the origin of like the 3 main raider groups because everybody got along so poorly, and it created like the original cons and 2 of the other raider groups, and
that's cool.
Basically, that conflict that Vault-Tec created in that vault created, exploded into all this other conflict that set the stage for what happened in the Wasteland. So that's cool stuff. You're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, yeah.
Now, Van Buren, canon or no? I know that officially it's not, but do you dig into Van Buren's lore for any of your research?
That's a good question. I haven't yet, and it's not something I've addressed. So you'll get me thinking about that. I'm going to dig into that and see what I think.
It's an interesting, and actually you can still download the playable demo, I guess, of Van Buren. But yeah, some of the lore in that's kind of fantastic.
Sometimes I'll address things that aren't in like the main games or in any of the like the main things written or answered by devs. But I'll say, well, this is a thing and it's similar, or it was originally intended to be something, but it isn't officially. So I use that as more of a getting a sense of like what the developers or creators were thinking and the direction of thought, maybe not necessarily where things ended up, but like what ballpark are they playing in from a idea space.
Is there something that's particularly stood out to you as shocking or surprising from your shows, or anything that kind of changed the way you thought,
shows, or from just a lore perspective?
From a lore perspective, like something that changed your perspective on Fallout.
Diving back into Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 more, and getting a sense of the mood and the environment of those games, and how it's how they're different from the more recent games, and how they're a product of their time. This is something I talked about on a recent episode. In the late 90s, there was basically, you did fantasy games, or you did Space Marines, or you did shooting Nazis, right? Like that was it. Those were the 3. And if you were going to do something else, that was a big jump. That was a risk. And the Fallout team decided to go in a different direction. So they created a post-apocalyptic future game, which wasn't very common. And they had to start off of some sort of template. That, like, every idea comes from other ideas, right?
Yeah.
And so they built off this template of like the Brotherhood is a group of knights, basically, and they wear armor, right? And they have ranks. And so they took a fantasy trope, like a medieval fantasy trope, and they moved it into a different space and made it fit that area. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of these like analogs between what was going on in the game space at that time and what came out in the Fallout world, and basically created these new, iconic things that we now only think of as being Fallout.
Right.
But they were derivative, but we don't think of it as derivative. We think of it as Fallout.
I never thought of it like that. Is there any questions you guys have, or anything you wanted to ask or talk about, Vendor, Shalene?
I think you pretty much covered all the talking points that I was there for. So
okay. So we didn't just have you on here to talk about what you're doing. I mean, obviously, yes, that's partly here promoting your show and hanging out with us and stuff. But you've prepared a special. Could we call it like a mini Lorecast?
Yeah. Actually, there's a topic that has come up. So in the second episode, I delve into who dropped the bombs, which I think is super interesting because it's it's kind of talked around.
Who let the bombs out?
Out, yes. Yeah, let the bombs out.
Yeah.
Who let the dog meat out. And it's talked in and around it, the topic, but it's rarely directly addressed in a kind of like, this is factually what happened and this person knows it kind of way. So for example, you come across other people in the Wasteland, and if the topic ever comes up, it's usually, well, the Chinese did it. Right? Like the Chinese shot the first bombs, and then the Americans shot back, and then the world was blown to hell, right? And and so that's the kind of the common understanding. And then in the episode, I go into what are some other thoughts here. And so one of the other thoughts is like, well, maybe it was people in the government who were somehow pulling strings that were behind it. So maybe it was the Enclave. Maybe the Enclave actually initiated some of this. Maybe they had something to do with the connection with Vault Tech and the idea that they were trying to drive people into the vaults and justify the existence of the vaults in order to justify their experiments, right? So, okay, there's a connection between like people in the government who might be involved with Enclave and involved with Vault Tech who want to get their experiments done. They, maybe they thought it was inevitable that was going to happen anyway, and so they just triggered it. And they were like, okay, let's just make it happen. So there's that theory. Then there's the theory of, well, maybe it was aliens. Aliens. I feel like the guy with the crazy hair. Aliens.
Pew pew.
Right? And there's some hints in some of like the Alien DLC that like the aliens had the ability to do mind control, and maybe they had gotten into some of the military and mind controlled the military to do it as a way of exterminating the humans or something like this, right? Or doing some of the experiments that they're doing, because in the DLC you can clearly see that they've been doing experiments on humans for hundreds of years.
Yep.
So there's that whole theory. Now, and I've tried looking for this in my Twitter feed, but the thing I wanted to bring up for this episode specifically is that somebody wrote, and I'm going to have to call them out on Twitter in the future. I'm going to have to find this because I couldn't find it again. But they had this really cool idea. It might have been in an email that, and it's pretty well established in the lore, that the Enclave's plan for the vaults was to determine if humans could cohabitate under different types of situations, similar to if they were in a spaceship traveling to another planet.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's why they were going through. They were like, okay, what if we put a bunch of people in one space and this is an issue?
Treating it like a generation ship.
Under the pretense that space travel would one day be a thing.
Right. So they're like, okay, well, if we can't, so thinking forward, if we can't rehabilitate the world, if the world is screwed, then our only other option is to get off the planet.
Yeah.
So maybe we should have some data around how we can do that and what things need to be necessary for human beings to be able to survive that, right?
If you're going where I think you're going, this is going to be mind-blowing.
So I don't know where you think it's going, but if I don't go there, you'll have to tell me what you're thinking, because that might be mind-blowing for me. So the theory that this person posited was, what if the aliens had been studying the humans and realized that the humans were so toxic and were destroying their own world, and that they had plans to leave their planet and go to other planets, like maybe the one the aliens are from. So they preemptively launched the bombs in order to stop the humans from getting
pretty
off the
cool.
planet.
The plague idea, humans as locusts. What I was going to say was the Enclave, knowing that they were trying to do tests of, like you said, cohabitation in various social situations, i.e. flying long term on a spaceship to different planets. What if the Enclave, at the end of the day, were the good guys, in the sense that they knew our planet was screwed, and the only choice was to go to a different place, and no one's going to choose to go into a vault by themselves, so they took what they thought was the best action of forcing people into the vaults to conduct these tests in order for us to have the right data to then fly to another planet and start over.
Right, because that's where hard choices.
But maybe somewhere gone off the rails a bit. But what if they were only looking out for humanity's best interests and not their own?
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually have an episode on the Enclave, and one of the things I do in the episode is I try to get the audience to picture themselves as being part of the Enclave. Like, from their perspective, if you were in the situation of being wealthy and powerful, what would you have done if you knew that, according to all the science and all the best predictions from all the smartest minds, that the world was doomed? What would you do? Well, you would band together with a bunch of other smart, affluential, wealthy people, and you would come up with some sort of solution. And that's going to have to be some sort of hard decision where you're
Yeah.
going to have to sacrifice somebody, because everyone's going to die anyway. So anything less than a everybody dies is a net win.
A viable gene pool.
Is a viable solution. And then you get into the stories in the games, and the Enclave believes that they're the only humans. They believe that if you are out in the wasteland, that you have been infected by the FEV virus or radiation or whatever, and you are no longer like original strain human.
Yeah,
so
you
they're
wouldn't.
trying to like save the actual original human population, but it comes across as elitist and, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Enclave.
Well, they did try experimenting with spacecraft. Obviously, I mean, we did get to the moon. We launched those ships with ghouls in them in New Vegas.
They launched the cat.
Yes.
So
what's his name? Pebbles.
Pebbles.
Yes.
And Jangles, the moon monkey.
Jangles, the moon monkey.
So that is
Actually,
really interesting.
Now that I think about it, there is a lot of space reference
Oh yeah,
throughout
the lunar lander module.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to kind of think about the Enclave pulling strings and vying for humanity's survival among the stars, as far as them initiating the war. But I wanted to ask you this: what about the terminal in Fallout 4? The NORAD not the NORAD terminal, but their satellite designation, where that terminal says that China shot first.
Right.
It was like a reported.
There's a lot of evidence that China shot first, but then there's also conflicting evidence about how that was reported, and I'd have to go into all the details about it. But yeah,
sure.
Actually, I'll wrap. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Oxhorn's videos on YouTube.
No.
Look up Oxhorn. He has a really, really good YouTube video where he goes into a lot of the more specific details with like actual gameplay footage, and all sorts of stuff. Like if you want to dig into this stuff, I would go check that out, because it's going to answer a lot of those questions.
FEV Dweller mentions in the chat that there was a war on the moon according to the mural in Fallout 4, which...
Yeah, isn't there like a weird mural where they're like in power armor fighting on the moon?
I think
you're right. Yeah,
but that could be just...
about.
I don't know where that mural is, but I wonder if that's just something that's like a comic, because I do believe that at one point... I mean, they had comics of power armor guys, so I don't know if that was something.
Is that part of the mural in the Museum of Freedom? Yeah,
there's like a museum where they have like planetary surfaces and spacecraft and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's something to look into.
Yeah, there's so much stuff in these games that like people bring stuff up and they're like, "What about this thing?" And I'm like, I kind of remember it. I have to do my research before each episode. So,
guys,
that's the whole thing.
Guys, Outer Worlds.
Well,
what if they knew the whole time?
Outer
Worlds,
just,
like, sniped.
The Enclave is
the rug out from Bethesda's feet.
Wow.
What if a ship was launched?
It is. Hey, Outer Worlds is in our universe.
In the Outer Worlds, there's an Easter egg of the ghouls from New Vegas that went to the moon.
Well, I mean,
up in a ship.
Yeah.
In the chat, Ben Yannick says, "I'm curious to see if Bethesda ever takes Fallout to space." And Marine Mustang says, "Starfield."
Yeah. I don't know about.
We've technically been to space in Mothership Zeta.
That's true. So they did take it to space. But anyway, so that's cool. That's something to think about. I never thought about either the Enclave being good or the aliens thinking of us as a threat to the galaxy, to the universe. That's I know that's a common theme in sci-fi and even in the Matrix trilogies. They use that idea as humans being a plague. So that's really cool. That's really cool.
And I like the idea that we're not a threat because of our technological prowess or our intellect. We're a threat because of our own stupidity.
Or is it one of those things where the U.S. government does what they need to do to make you think what they want you to think? No. Yeah.
The U.S. government.
Yeah.
Propaganda? What?
It's infallible.
I'm convinced. Okay, so as a guy who does a Lorecast, I'm convinced that Fallout 76 is a giant social experiment. I'm convinced.
Look, the United States government is infallible and perfect, so I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
God bless the
America.
USA and nowhere else.
America.
So, on that note, if you guys don't have anything else to talk about, Shalene Vendor, do you have anything else to add to the subject of lore?
Just that I think it's one big social experiment.
Commie.
But I like the whole idea behind the vaults, right? That each vault has its own purpose. Vault 22, with Keeley and the plants, and Vault 75, I think, was with the children, the school children.
Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
I love the theory that's the origin of the Gunners. That's one of my favorite theories.
Yeah. And I think that is the richest part. That is part of the essence of what Fallout is.
And the mystery.
Is the vaults and the mystery behind the vaults, and that we don't really know what happened, but we choose and have the choice to speculate about what those things might be.
Yeah, I think if they're smart, they're never actually going to answer it. They're always going to just kind of leave it up in the air.
Yeah, because it makes them money, right?
Yeah, sure. It's more fun to speculate than actually know the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I agree.
but yeah, who's that tapping on my vault door?
Yeah.
But
Jeez.
anyway, thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna bring us to a close here. We've been streaming along for quite some time. But yeah, thank you, robots, for coming on our show and hanging out with us and bringing some of the lore and pushing my Cazador segment again to the next episode.
And also thank you for
such a good title.
tolerating our extreme trash fires and silliness.
I thought you were going to say
no.
Rick.
And Rick. I mean, I wasn't
She's
gonna say
trash
it, but-
fires. I mean, it's pretty much the guy slinking out of his chair halfway through the show and staying down there for about a minute. Yeah. So, but do you guys have any announcements? Actually, real quick before we hop off of this, robots, tell our listeners how they could find your stuff.
Yeah, I'm on every podcatcher that you could use. So whatever you guys listen to, that Fallout show, I'm sure you can look me up, Fallout Lorecast. And if you want to send me anything, Twitter at Fallout Lorecast is where I'm at, or falloutlorecast@gmail.com. And I even stream on Twitch in the evenings, usually like after 9 p.m. Eastern time, kind of late in the evenings. And sometimes, I mean, if you want to jump in and adventure with Derek, you're more than welcome to join me. And you guys too. Like we could get Derek in the group and see how it goes.
Be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Derek and Jim Justice. It would
Yeah, the
Oh my
amazing
gosh.
adventures of Derek and Jim Justice.
And my character and
we
his
should create like a YouTube series on it. Yeah.
Derek and Jim. And my characters be like, I don't know why I'm here.
And
This
then Rick
is-
in
I
the
don't know
background
why
is
I'm
power
here."
armor.
Doing all the work.
Ka-dum.
Eric's
So
like, sorry, go on.
no, I was just gonna say. And as for Sunday Vendor, Shalene, are we doing any drama?
No drama right
Okay.
now, but are we
No.
doing some survival horror?
Yes, we're gonna work on Claire's run on Resident Evil 2 in
I'm already
Goblins,
scared.
Guts, and I gotta remember the name of that. It's such a catchy title too. But that's gonna be
super catchy. You can't even remember it, Rick.
Anyway.
It's gonna be good. We're gonna play Resident Evil 2. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm so excited to make a horror stream regular here on our channel. It's going to be so much fun. So yeah, join us for that on Sunday, 4 p.m.
Sure.
Eastern?
time?
Sounds great.
Yeah, 4
Sounds
p.m.
great.
Eastern time.
And if you Robots told you all about how you could find him. If you want to find our show, this great piece of content that you are currently listening to now, you can find us at on Twitter at That Fallout Show. You can find the network at We Just Love Games. You can tweet at me at Rick McVick. You can tweet at Shalene at Shalene L. And you can tweet at Vendortron at Vendortron N. And again, don't forget to tweet at the Fallout Lorecast at Fallout Lorecast. You can find our show on Facebook.com/That Fallout Show, and our group on Facebook, groups/That Fallout Show. Same thing for We Just Love Games. Facebook, Fallout.com. Facebook.com/We Just Love Games and Facebook.com/groups/We Just Love Games. Email us. I apologize we had to cut our emails for tonight because we really got to watch our space on our servers. We are filling that up like crazy with our 2-hour-long shows. So Next week, we will probably have 15 emails to read. You can email us at info@wejustlovegames.com. It's the email episode, right?
Yeah. The next show is just going to be all emails.
We're gonna bump your Cazadors again.
No!
Just read emails.
Never! Yeah, that's, again, info@wejustlovegames.com. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/wejustlovegames. And if you're watching us live tonight, here on Twitch, you are definitely at twitch.tv/wejustlovegames, where you can find us streaming live every Friday at 6:30 Mountain, 8:30 Eastern Time. And you can find our show also on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. If you leave us a review on iTunes with some texty text and a 5-star rating, we will shout you out at the beginning of the show and try to get your name right. You can check out our other show at called GameStack on any place where podcasts are downloaded. And thank you so much for listening, everyone. It was so much fun, this crazy, crazy show. And Shalene, do you have a last word?
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.